Yes, good evening. Welcome back to Football Heritage TV on a night where sometimes Savva, this guy, goes live and we get breaking news. And I've got a feeling in the next hour and a half, we might get breaking news that Conor Gallagher has completed his medical and is a Tottenham Hotspur footballer. And if not, we'll just keep streaming until that happens. It could be a long 72 hours. I have got Rain with me. I've got James Flower with me. Lads, away from football, first and foremost, little check. Everyone okay? Everyone fit and healthy? Everyone good?
Yes, mate. I am. I've started the new year, got back in the gym, started to sort of take a bit more care of myself after eating my home body weight in food over Christmas.
Standard.
So yeah, personally, yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Me, don't worry about me. Let's go to Rain first. Rain, are you good? Are you good?
I'm good. Getting back into the routine of the new year. Yeah, it's nearly the end of January. It'll be summer soon.
It will be. It will be. Thanks for letting us know what time of the year it is. That's very helpful for tonight's show. Really appreciate that, Rain. So welcome to both of you. Guys, I'm going to start by saying this, right? Honestly, I'm at the stage where I don't know. I don't understand this fan base as a general rule anymore. I don't think our fans have any idea of where we are as a club, what we need to do to build, and the level of player we can attract. And the Conor Gallagher news that came through yesterday for me was brilliant. Like it was, yeah, this is what we've been saying Newcastle do. This is what we've been saying Villa do. Solid, experienced international players. Our fans, not all of them, but there's a lot of people out there screaming Bloody Mary, all the tacticos. He's not what we need. He can't pass forward. He's a workhorse. He's a headless chicken. I'm going to start with you, Rain, and say I'm going to suggest that these people haven't actually watched Conor Gallagher play enough and are now all starting to parrot each other without actually going and watching this man's career, because I think this is utter madness for what is a very good, sensible signing for this football club.
So when Kai Havertz got a little bit injured in the summer, Arsenal didn't go that's fine. We'll cope with that. They just went and got Eze, and Eze's barely played, but he's in the squad. He's in the club, and he's on their roster. Conor Gallagher is exactly the type of player who we need, exactly the type of bloke who we need in our squad. He's exactly the right profile. He's the right age, got the right character. I mean, he's still yet to come up against the big baddies of the Tottenham medical team, but he's barely. I'm touching. He's barely ever been injured, right? He's a model pro. He's done his time in Spain. He's spent a lot of time in the Premier League. He was Poch's captain. That's how much Poch thought of him, and he's going to come into our club, as long as it's all done. And for me, he could be 80% of the technical quality that he is. But what our club really, really lacks is leadership and character. And that's what Conor Gallagher is going to bring to me. Add on to that he's actually a pretty decent player.
I mean, James, sorry, I just had to do something really quickly. James, I'm going to be honest, I think that's really harsh. I don't think he is a decent player. I think he's a very good footballer. In fact, people actually go and watch the body of work for him at Chelsea, Palace, Atletico Madrid. He is very good at every aspect of being a midfielder. Goals, assists, through balls, crossing, tackling, interceptions. He's got one of the best work rates I've ever seen from a professional footballer. Are we really underplaying this because his name isn't Gallagherinho? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, for me personally, on Gallagher, I wanted him before he went to Atletico. I think it was me and Ryan Isaacs did a show, and it was like, please kind of get this guy in. I think he's everything we've needed for a little while. I think he works hard, like you're saying, but there's so much more. The passing ability, the calm head, the finishing ability. I just think he's everything we need. I really do. I also think that the youth in the club are going to learn a hell of a lot from someone like that than they are someone like a Bentancur. I also think he could almost be the dream partner for somebody like Palhinha. Palhinha is not the most mobile, but he'll do all the dog work. And Palhinha may say to him, "Look, I'll do all the dog work. You do the fancy work. Off we go. Let's have that double pivot, like perfect match."
Yeah.
Rain said something there about it being Pochettino's captain. Like, we all know what kind of man Pochettino likes as his captain. He likes that kind of dogged, double training sessions, fitness. It was very much lead by example. So I think it's a fantastic signing. If it gets over the line, I think that's an absolutely fantastic signing.
I've got a feeling it's going to be done in the next couple of hours. I know I was joking at the beginning of the show, but I've got a feeling it's going to be done very, very soon. The funny thing that makes me laugh about this is, as I started the show by saying, our fans don't really have no grasp of where we are as a football club right now. They say things like, if he's that good, why is he leaving Atletico? Sorry, you mean Atletico Madrid, who are a much bigger football club than Tottenham Hotspur, have much better players, a world-class manager, right? Are we kidding? Like, again, Poch, the beginning of the end for Poch at Chelsea was because the board were trying to push through the sale of Conor Gallagher, and Pochettino didn't want it. But guys, I want to bring up some data. I want to show. Listen, I've loved this guy as a footballer, James. Since I said on my show yesterday, I went to see him play when he was on loan at Charlton from Chelsea. Must be 7-8 years ago. And I went with my mate who works at Charlton, and he said, "Watch this." He said, "Watch this lad in midfield we got on loan for Chelsea." He went, he's mustard. He said, he said to me, he's way too good to be playing here. Yeah. And he stood out like a sore thumb, guys. He just bossed the game, his touch, his control, his pass. I put a video out last night, right? I put a video out last night on my, big up Sean. I put a video out last night on my community post showing 14 minutes of Gallagher passing forwards, crossing, assisting, scoring, skill, close control, taking the ball when he's got players around him and moving it around. And still, all I got in my comments section all day and all night has been, yeah, but he's a headless chicken. Yeah, but he can't pass forward. And I'm like, James, are we getting to the stage? Right? Are we getting to the stage now where people aren't actually forming their own opinions and everyone's just being a sheep because they've heard one person say he can't pass forward when it's not true? Is that where we're at with football fans now?
Yeah, I think a lot of football fans are quite blind as well. So if somebody shows you one elite aspect of their game, i.e. his fitness, that's elite. Everyone just kind of sticks at one thing, go, "Oh yeah, but look, he just runs around because that's the thing he does most." But they don't realise that he actually doesn't give the ball away very often. I mean, I don't even know what to say. I just think he's a fantastic player. I think the fact that we're all saying a leader and a role model, ain't he 25? Is he 25? So he's not even like you'd go, "Oh yeah, 28, 29, 30-year-old guy that's coming in to lead by example." He's still fairly young himself.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's better than any player that we've got, except perhaps Palhinha in what Palhinha does in central midfield, right? He's head and shoulders above. And Sam, I think you're underselling it. I don't think Simeone wants to let him go. It's not like he hasn't been playing for Atletico Madrid, right? He's an absolute first team.
They need money. They need money.
Yeah. So they need money. And he wants to come back to the Premiership, the Premier League. There's rumours that he wants to come back to Premier League to ensure that he gets into the England squad. I don't know why that should be a prerequisite, right? In this day and age.
No, because Yeah, but that's slightly different. That's because he's not a guaranteed starter. Atletico have got really good centre mids. Like they've got 4 or 5 centre mids who are all very good, and they play 2 in the middle. So it's very difficult for him to be nailed on. Hence the reason of not going to Villa, right? If he goes to Villa, he can play there, but every week you're going to be rotating with McGinn, Kamara, Anana, Tielemans, Bogard. Look,
His minutes are awesome though. His minutes are like 90%.
No, not.
No,
He's played like he's 25 games this season. He's played like 1,000 minutes of football.
Yeah, But look,
he plays like 50% of minutes.
Sean, let me come to you. To be fair, I saw a little bit of the Spurs 5 last night. I haven't seen a lot of it. I watched most of the end of it, which was a cracking row. That I don't want to say that Sean knew what he was doing as the host, but Sean definitely knew what he was doing as the host there, and it was very funny to watch. Sean, I haven't really got your take on this. Conor Gallagher, you've seen, listen, it seems to be another Spurs signing where lots of the fan base are going, yeah, this is brilliant. This is good. This is a good step forward. And then the other half just going, absolutely not what we need. This is not a needle mover. Where are you on Conor Gallagher?
I think I'm somewhere in between. What I like about him is, I think you guys were talking about it. I think he's going to elevate the mentality of the players on the pitch. I think all too often right now, we see situations where the players, once they cross the white line, they stick to the plan, even if the plan is not going the way it should and they don't know what to do until half time. They come in and they rally themselves and then they go out in the second half and have a better shift or whatever. But there's a lack of adaptability at times. The Aston Villa, that 70th minute corner when Aston Villa put 3 players up on the halfway line, that really annoyed me, the way that we reacted to that. Those sorts of things. And I don't think that we have enough, caliber of mentality and leaders, like I think you guys were just saying. Yeah. I think he brings all of that stuff. I think he'll bring out, I think, his professionalism, the content of his character, I guess, without trying to sound weird, that I've seen and heard and learnt about when he was at Chelsea. I think that sort of thing is good to have around the football club. Really good. I think he's a future captain if he stays here for a long time. And I think he is better than what we have within the profiles that are similar to him. And I think that's the problem for me, is that I just think that if he is the midfielder that we get and there's no one else that comes in, then I don't think that we've really filled the gap in our profile. The lack of profile that we're looking for, which is a passing midfielder that can get on the ball and be that tempo master. I think his best attributes are what he does in not just with his leadership, but I think with the work rate, his ability to drive runs off the ball, pull players out of position, crash the box late. Those sorts of things are fantastic. But you know what? I genuinely think that a lot of people won't notice that stuff. I think a lot of people that look at players, they just watch what they do on the ball, and then they don't notice the things that are happening off it. And then therefore they'll find him frustrating at times if he's not the all singing, all dancing midfielder that we're looking for. I think people will be wrong to pigeonhole him in that version. I think people have to acknowledge and keep an eye out for what he does that allows other people to play football. And I think people like Xavi Simons will be a massive beneficiary because of Conor Gallagher being on the ball. He'll create space for Xavi Simons to do his thing.
Sean, look at this.
Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Look, sorry, just to say, based off what you just said. So Tom Warner, who we know gets a lot of the Spurs information, he's not the first person to say this, but a lot of news in the last 24 hours is still that Spurs, our fans seem to think that it's one or the other.
Yeah,
I've said for a long time.
Needs to be both.
Yeah, you know me. I don't rate this midfield in any way, shape, or form, other than Paulinho. Maybe I'm harsh. I don't care if the other 5. I just don't care. I genuinely don't care. Maybe in the future, Bergvall, but Gray, not for me. Basuma, bring him in now because we've got lack of bodies and he's going in the summer. Bentancur, too many injuries, been here for ages. Sarr, 4.5 years, not really seen anything.
Sure.
So for me, I think this is spot on. And I think this is going to be the difference, right, with our fan base here is, it says Tottenham have identified the need for more of a creative passer from deep, but whether such a key signing can be made in January or has to be deferred to the summer remains to be seen. Now, guys, I think this is the important thing. I'm hoping that Spurs have acknowledged this. It's just about whether or not is that profile of player available.
Yeah, there's one that's available. I think there's one that is playing for a club that will always sell. They'll be like they're the Bournemouth of Germany in Leverkusen, and I think there's an absolutely perfect player. I spoke about him on my channel 7 weeks ago. I love him. I've always thought he's brilliant player. He's 28 years old. He's flown under the radar. He was a Man City youth player. Came through the academy about 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago, whatever. Alex Garcia. Right, I think he's a brilliant passer. He has unbelievable. Yeah, and if you get up his FB refs, mate, he is. Just look at the specifics of some of the things that he can do. His carries, his passes into the box. It's he's like 98th, 99th percentile. He'd be a wonderful compliment. And he's not going to cost the world. He's not going to cost you 70 million, 60 million. He's like a 30 million pound player. He's a better version of a Maxence Caqueret, who I think is in that sort of tier 2 category. Like if Tottenham are always disappointing because every time you try and go and get yourself a big player, we either get turned down or we get gazumped or we get hijacked or whatever else. Someone like Maxence Caqueret that was playing at Lyon went to Como, has done really well. I really like that profile of player as well, but I don't think the question marks around whether he would adapt to the Premier League, his physicality. Alex Garcia, for me, is a much better version of a tier 2 player. And I think he would be sensational to bring in and play that and be able to kind of conduct the tempo of the game. I love him. I think he's great.
I can't agree with you more. I really like Garcia. I mean, James, isn't the key thing here is when we look at the Arsenals, when we look at more relevant in the last few years, the Cities, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the great Man United squads, isn't it that they have 4 or 5 midfielders that all do different things, but all can equally play?
Yeah.
When Spurs start to buy different profiles, we all lose our minds. Like, this isn't what we need. This is 100% not what we need. Don't we need a bit of everything? Don't we need a bit of everything in this squad now? Leadership, ball playing, goals, some skill, some captain. Like, don't we need all of it?
Yeah, like we said. I mean, we said backstage that personally, you've got Polinia, who's your destroyer. You bring him in, Gallagher, and him in for the double pivot, and then you stick a James Maddison in front of that. I think that's fantastic. You've got your creative play. You've got your cherry on the top of two players that are fit for purpose. You've got your guy that's going to sit in front of the back four. Your guy that wants to do all the dogged work, who would probably work better with Polinia. Then you have James Maddison, Xavi, Kulu, whoever you want in front of that. So for me, I think it's a great deal. And then the other thing is, a lot of people are expecting us to come in and sign the best of the best. For me, our midfielders are so bad that you need to take that step up before you then potentially go for the best of the best. But at the moment, we're bottom 5, 6 in the league. We're out of every cup. Like, who do they think that we are going to be signing? Like, you have to start somewhere. And for me, you said earlier about him maybe not getting minutes for Villa. I think he starts for Villa. I actually think he's fantastic. I really do think he's everything that we need at the club. I don't see how this is a bad deal.
It's interesting though, isn't it, guys? Because I mean, Rain, it's somebody that everyone goes, oh my God, Emery's absolutely amazing at Villa, and look what he does. Emery wanted him.
Yeah.
We get him in front of Villa, and then it's well, look, Chelsea didn't want him, which isn't true. Poch loved him, right? Atletico didn't want him, and it's like, well, that's not strictly true. They just need money, and they have to keep making money for foreign spaces, right? The same way we do for foreign and. We've got, if Villa had signed this player, if Newcastle had, we'd all be saying good signing, wouldn't we? We'd all be saying solid, sensible signing. Are we just being a bit dramatic?
Look at the squad depth they're creating. Look at them. They've got all these great players, and now they're adding this Conor Gallagher to their roster. They could lose 2 or 3 players, and they've still got. Whereas for us, let's be clear, for us he comes in and starts. Right, that's the thing, right? So and all this, is he the player that we need? Apart from maybe centre back, I can't think of a position where we don't need players.
Right, I agree. I completely agree with you.
We're desperate for a left wing. Absolutely desperate for a left wing. We're now desperate for a right wing. We haven't got a left back or a left back who plays regularly.
And a striker.
Striker, is Solanke going to play 10 games for us this season? Who knows? It's so you do the business when it's there and it's available. And Conor Gallagher was available, and you get the business done. Again, I'm going to go back to that lot down the road, right? Another bit of business when it was available. Hincapié, right? Hincapié became available. We were like, yeah. We need somebody who can cover our left. We need somebody who can start at left back and play and come and cover left centre back. And they went, hold my beer. We're just going to go and add him to. We're just going to add him to the whole lot of other players that we've got. He's barely played for them until there were a few injuries. We need to get real. The deal was there for a really good player who's going to start for us, and you get it done.
And at £36 million, by the way, but £36 million, that's less than we paid for Archie Gray. Can we just let that sink in for a minute? Now, Sean, I'm gonna come to you. I want to show you. I've got some pictures and stuff to bring up. We got some more links, and I saw you've already done a video on this. You do not miss a beat, young man, do you? You do not miss a beat. And I've got this vision.
Hey, you know how many times, like, because I'm struggling with my my energy levels right now. So I'm in bed. Yeah. I'm in bed, right? And I've got like I've got a custom noise on my phone when there's like a tweet notification that comes from a transfer thing.
Right.
So I'm lying in bed like, oh, I'm so tired. It might be 5 p.m. It might be 7 p.m. It might be 9 p.m. Whatever. I hear this like, blah, 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 blah. And it's that special. And I go, oh, you know what? Content's got content. Get out of bed, Butler.
I've got these visions on Saturday night of me and you having beers in the pub and you going, could you hold my beer literally for 15 minutes while I go outside and talk about this young player or whoever?
100%.
Look.
We never stop, baby. We never stop.
You know, look, Sean, I'm going to show you a few bits as well. But as I said to you earlier, Sean, I spoke to my mate who works at Chelsea today and has worked there for a couple of decades, actually, in various positions. He knows Conor Gallagher. He knows the family. He knows what everyone thought about Conor Gallagher within the club. He said everyone in the club was gutted when he went. Yeah, but what he talked about more than anything, Sean, was what you were saying earlier. It was, first of all, the energy levels he brought to training and to games. Like he was just an infectious character of bringing energy. Everything is about winning. Said that he was absolutely brilliant on the training pitch. Brilliant with fans, brilliant with the youth, brilliant with his teammates. If they had any problems, they all went to him. Even at that, he was captain at 23, by the way. He was a young captain. But this is something I know you like this sort of thing, Sean. So this one's just for you. That's his heat map, right? During his last season in the Premier League. I mean, in one of those pictures, he's in goal. Like, I mean, this is this.
Well, do you know what though?
Me,
can we go just because first of all, that should be used by Mikel Arteta for one of his like, do you see the duck or do you see the you see the squirrel or whatever it is? He should say that. What do you see in there? And he goes, oh, I don't know. I think I see chicken. No, you don't. You see Conor Gallagher's heat map. But I just wonder whether or not most heat maps over the course of an entire season look a little bit like that. Is there any chance you can get a season heat map up of I don't know, pick any player, pick Bentancur last season and see if his heat map looks something similar? Because I'd imagine that if every single one is overlaid on top of each other, they all probably look like that over 40 games.
No, sure. Absolutely. I mean, don't worry, there's more stats as well. But listen, I think this is really good, right? I feel that Sean, I'll start with you. Would you get him straight in for Saturday? Like, no messing around, straight in the 11 alongside Paulinho, Simmons in front of them, and for the foreseeable unless they don't buy another midfielder, let that settle as the middle three then. Let that be your middle three, apart from the Champions League games that you won't be able to play. Was that what you would do or something else?
Yeah, 100%. He'll be able to play in the Champions League in the knockout stages, right? You can add him back into the squad. There's a second squad for the knockout stages, isn't there?
Yeah, the knockout stages. Yeah,
Yeah. It's
the
just
one
for the
thing I
two
can't
it's for the
work
two
out,
final games of the first of the league phase.
can he play in the playoff game? Because that's
I don't know.
probably where we're going to end up, right? Probably.
Yeah, I don't know, to be honest. I don't know.
No.
But yeah, to be honest, I was mistaken. I thought that he could come straight in. I thought that the signings that you made in the January window could immediately be added. But obviously that's not the case. It's only after the league phase is complete. So,
Right. Okay.
but I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. But yeah, yeah. To answer your question, though, 100%. Yeah, Archie Gray. See you later, mate. Get on the bench. Be gone with your lad.
Why would you drop Archie? Why would you drop Archie Gray?
Why would I drop Archie Gray? Listen, you've already got me on board dropping Kolo Muani, James. All right, you don't need to wind me up, mate. You don't need to wind me up.
Okay. Well, look, we'll get that cleared up. Danny K is saying he can't. Perchy's saying he can play in the playoff games, but we'll find that in due course. Look, I mean, guys, I think the key thing for me here is there's people that are disappointed because this transfer only seemed, and again, optics are very important, that it only came about because of the injury, James, to Bentancur. Once it was almost like that was announced in the morning that he was going to be out for the rest of the season. And suddenly Spurs go and gazump Conor Gallagher. Now, I don't believe it all happened in about 6 hours. I'm sure there was some contact going on. Does that bother you? Does that show that anything's changed, or is this still reactive versus proactive for you? Do you give a shit?
Yeah, I think it. No, the last part. No, I don't give a shit. But I think it depends on what you read, because if we go by the start of the window, it was always, I saw everywhere, we wanted another midfielder. We sign another midfielder. Bentancur gets injured, and it's like, well, yeah, he only signed because Bentancur's injured. It's like, well, they did say at the start we wanted another midfielder as well. So, I mean, I personally don't care. We've got a top quality player coming through the door. Any reason is valid for me. I'm really not fussed as long as he gets through the door. That's the main thing for me.
Rain, Sean, are you both the same? Because I know some people are saying, well, we only done this because of, it wasn't that this was planned. It wasn't like we were building. It was replacing. Where are we at with that?
No, we've been linked with him for years, though.
That almost adds to the was it actually planned kind of thing, because people have heard it so much. I'm not sure I care whether it was planned or not. I do think there is a little bit that people don't think it was planned because, like, historically over the last 4 years or so, especially, when Don Fabio, when Fabio was doing our transfers, there was lots of, you could see what was coming. It was obviously being built. There was all the rumours, but now it's just boom, done. Within a few days, forgiving the summer when we let things drag on. But even then, Morgan Gibbs-White, apart from the fact that Marinakis didn't let it happen, it looked like we did boom, done within a couple of days. We just didn't. Very quick. We just didn't get it closed. It came out completely out of the blue, didn't it? So I think that's factoring into it for a lot of people, because they're not seeing it build up. Right. They're thinking,
because there's no long drawn out transfer saga in with Sky Sports and stuff for 7 or 8 days saying, will he, won't he?
But I don't think I don't really care. Even if it was, they got wind that Villa were hooking him. I say well done for going and hijacking it. That's what I say, because it's exactly the type of player that, again, you can't buy every single player. Not every single player is available for transfer, and not every single player wants to move. So when you've got an inkling that the transfer is available to be done, you have to ask yourself: is it right for the club? Is it someone who's going to add to our squad? And then you go and get it done. In a similar way to reverse, when there was money on the table for Johnson, they went, yeah, do you know what? We'll do that transaction. will make that turn over. That's the way that it should work. That's the way that it should happen.
Yeah, I mean, Sean, I want to show you a few more bits here. I just thought they were quite interesting. One of the key things.
Show me your bits.
Yeah, I'll show you my bits. I'll do that Saturday. Let me have 3 or 4 pints. I'll show you 3 or 4 pints. And look, one of the key things that's been leveled, and I've had so many. You know what it's like. You put a video out and you wake up the next day to so many comments. It's like, oh my god, like wow, like this is like. And one of the comments that keeps coming up is about his lack of ability to pass and his lack of ability to pass forward. So I went and done some digging and watched some videos, and I already knew this because I've been following his career closely. And that's not how he plays. That's not he can pass. He does pass regularly. But then a lot of stats come out in the last few days, such as this one with this is the last year for him at Chelsea, where assists for Chelsea was second. I believe it was only Cole Palmer who got more that year, if I'm not wrong. Chances created, second in the team. So clearly, to create chances, you have to play the ball forward. And then there was this one, that season again, goal contributions for someone who doesn't pass the ball forward, big chances created, final third passes, is definitely passing the ball forward, right? In dangerous areas, progressive passes, carries into the final third. Are we more fans annoyed because he's not that number 8 that passes the ball as their only job, like a kind of Carrick or a Modric, that's taken away from people actually watching what he does as a footballer?
Yeah, look, I think, did you see in the second half against Aston Villa when Palhinha, like Aston Villa would win the ball back, right? And then they'd be in their transition, and then Palhinha came from behind and challenged the likes of Wendy, challenged the likes of Bogard, etc. And he'd win the ball back, and he'd get up and give it straight to Xavi Simons, and then Xavi Simons created a lot of mayhem a little bit for Aston Villa because of the speed in which the transition happened. I think that's the sort of thing that you're going to see a lot from Conor Gallagher. I think Conor Gallagher is a sort of guy that wins the ball, battles for it, runs around, not like a headless chicken, but with it's organized chaos. I think it's the best way of saying it. He's like filtered, fine-tuned, dialed in, but has a work rate and a tenacity and a desire to press the life out. And he puts that pressure on, gets the ball, and then those chances, I don't obviously know the numbers, but I do remember that season, and I do remember the sort of the dialogue about Conor Gallagher, and the kind of the feedback was generally that a lot of those chances created were in transition, right? So he'd win the ball would be won back, he would get it, or he would be the one that received it from the guy who won it back, and then he would be the guy that gives it in a period where the opposition didn't have the chance, they didn't have the time to be able to rebuild and reset and get into their bank of 4-5-1. And I think that is something that Tottenham Hotspur, as a team that's currently a team that's trying to be a little bit more progressive with the ball, but ultimately, where when we do get it, when we do win the ball back, it's those little, like, you'll see a player that drives, like Jed Spence drives me up the wall with this, right? He'll drive into space, and then there'll be someone that's galloping up behind over him, or someone on the outside, and it's that final. It's like the easiest pass, the easiest pass to give it to the next guy, but it's just hit in front, or just hit behind, or just hit too hard or too soft, and it makes that winger or that player have to check, and then that slowing down of the move then allows those teams who have got all these bigger, faster, stronger players that are fitness robots to be able to charge back and get themselves reorganized. And it just means that the move breaks down. Conor Gallagher, for me, what I see in him is the guy that's going to be able to get that pass. It's not necessarily complex passes that I think he excels at. I think it's making sure that the easy bit is done, but the difficult bit is how he gets it back in the first place and gets that ball in transition. I think that's where Tottenham are really going to benefit from him, is as a team that gives up possession quite a lot and can get it back quite well because we're organised defensively. I think how many times this season we have unnecessarily given ourselves unforced errors that have ruined positive momentum. I think someone like Conor Gallagher, for me, is going to be a catalyst to kind of improving those areas, efficiencies, and fight, and like sort of ironing out the creases in that move. So for me, like, I'm not so much worried about what he did at Chelsea, because I think a lot of those things are based around what team he's working with and the style, and that's going to be very different, right? But Sorry, I've got a bit of a rant there. To answer your question, do I think that people that don't rate him are judging him against players that can do some of the things that he does, but better, but maybe can't do the things that he does well at all? 100%. You look at someone like Alex Garcia, he can't defend, he can't win the ball back. There's nothing defensive about his game. He's a proper passing midfielder. You go and look at his interceptions.
We'll all acknowledge that he's not being bought for that, right?
Right, exactly.
Whereas we need to acknowledge that the way I described it yesterday, Sean, for me was Conor Gallagher is. We're in this era now of everyone's a 6 or an 8 or a 10, but us older guys, we never had that.
Midfielder, just a midfielder. Can do a bit of
midfielder, right? We had teams play 4-4-2. You had 2 midfielders, and it was like, who are your 2 midfielders? There was no, can he defend? Can he pass? Can he shoot? Oh, that's not his job. It was, no, hang on, you 2 have to do everything. Now, obviously, one would sit a little bit more, but Conor Gallagher does everything very well. He's not, oh my God, he's world class at one particular. He's just very good at everything. And I think we're very lucky. I think this is a really, I'm a big fan, as you can tell. I'm
with you, man. I think it's a really good signing. I genuinely think that Tottenham Hotspur, with a signing like that, I think it was important for so many levels. Some Aston Villa fan came into my comment after my live stream earlier and was saying, "You're so fucking excuse me, I shouldn't have sworn. You're so arrogant. You donut. Who do you? What is it that makes you think that you as a Tottenham fan can look down on Aston Villa?" I was like, "What are you talking about?" All I said was it was important that Tottenham Hotspur won the battle against Villa, because I understand that Tottenham will lose battles in the pecking order against Man Cities and Liverpools for the Semenyos and the Diamandis. I get that. Yeah. But to lose out to a team that 6 years ago was here relative to us, and now it's like that, to me, it was important to win it. I think that's important. And I think the PR, the momentum that comes from it, and I think that the player itself is levels above on many, many intangible characteristics, like the mentality side, than what we have. I think loads of players are going to benefit from him being around the training ground. But I just don't. My only reservation is I just don't think it solves all of our problems in midfield. I think you need someone else next to it, and then you need to go and get a winger and a striker and whatever else to finish.
Of course.
Well, you say that. You say. Sorry, I just want to come back. I agree with you in now, as in today. I don't think it solves every problem today, but with the likes of Maddison coming back, Xavi, do you not feel that is a complete midfield with him, Palhinha, and Maddison? Do you not feel that that's complete?
Oh, for sure, mate. I think that a fully fit Tottenham squad, as it looks, if you have Becky, Maddison, Xavi, Solanke, Richarlison, Kudus, hopefully some growing, improving. Then you put Gallagher in there. I think it looks really good. But
so that's what I'm saying. So is it fair to say that what you're saying is quite short sighted, because he's exactly what we need if everybody's fit? Obviously, it's harsh to say, well, he's not what we need because no one's fit. That's of course.
But I'm saying that all of those players that we have, though, still don't complete the midfield. We need a double pivot player who can be like a Zubamendi type, right? And we don't have one.
Okay, but that's fair. I think that we would
saying like him specifically, but just we have a lot of attacking talent in the 10 variety profiles that can do a little bit of different things. But I don't think we have someone that can sit next to Palhinha or Conor Gallagher that are able to kind of be that tempo master. Savva, you spoke about the tempo master for months, right? Conor Gallagher isn't a tempo master, neither is Palhinha. We still don't have that midfielder.
So Sean, you were talking about the ability to do that, the pass before the pass, right? In the final third, that a winger can't do their job if they're not given the ball in the right way to then go and create the assist. And I absolutely make that. But I think we're absolutely lacking on the other end as well. You look at what happened against Villa. You look at what happened. I've got a very particular moment against Newcastle in my head when Bergvall was drawn. The ball was on the right hand side of our penalty area, their left wing. Bergvall was drawn to it, and he should not have been drawn to it. He was in central midfield. He should have been covering the Newcastle central midfielder. He got drawn to it because he's enthusiastic. He's young. He's not being situationally aware. He's not doing the look. Right? He's not doing. Where's the danger here? And what happened? The ball got passed But everybody blamed Porro, fair, but everybody blamed Porro. But the ball got passed. It went past Bergvall because he's now out of position to a completely open Newcastle player who, guess what, went and scored because he's now completely open. I'm hoping that Conor Gallagher, with a bit more awareness of what's going on around him,
Not a bit more. Not a bit more awareness. I don't want any Bergvall in the same conversation as Conor Gallagher. I'm not entertaining.
He's going to be able to do something that seems quite simple, right? But you have to learn as a player is to do that and see what is going on around me. Because let's face it, we've been dreadful going forwards, but we are conceding goals to stupid errors, stupid basic errors. Unforced losing.
That's the other thing, mate. I think that Conor Gallagher will be the sort of guy that plugs that hole on the edge of the D. He'll be smart enough. He'll be smart enough to realise that that's an area of vulnerability and will close it down like a demented rabbit. He'll be all over that.
With his work rate, he's always going to be an option, isn't he? There's no excuse for him not to be an option, and I think that's what you'll find. You'll find he will always be an option. And I do feel like that's sort of where we've struggled quite a lot. I mean, Bukario's ball playing has been dreadful, but I feel like he's always had to play an eye of a needle ball forward, whereas I feel like Paulinho will drop, and then once he's dropped, Gallagher will drop because he's got the legs to turn and attack again. So I feel like he's almost going to be like just as important defensively as he is going forward. And I mean, with those attacking stats, could we actually see a Kolo Muani goal? Could we do it?
He almost got one against Villa. Come on now.
He's that good. If he gets an assist with Kolo Muani scoring, he's an elite level footballer.
Do you know the thing though? The thing is, if anybody actually goes and watches like the compilations of Conor Gallagher, and again, we shouldn't need to because people, if you watch enough games across Europe and been watching him for years, you'll see Conor Gallagher's absolutely brilliant at when his team loses possession. He is brilliant at sprinting back and nicking the ball away from people. He's got this real good knack of nicking the ball, spinning on it and turning. And he's also got, I want to bring this up, guys. He's also got unbelievable ability for people who say he's just a headless chicken. Look at this data here, right? This is, if I get this right, this is in that league season. This is his touches under pressure. So these were completed touches under pressure. Now, this is the difference for me between technically good footballers and those that are just athletes, right? Look at all of the players on that list. They're all technically sound footballers, aren't they? There's no one in that list where you go, nah, that boy can't play. Look how high up that list Conor Gallagher is in that year. So that shows me that he's very comfortable at receiving the ball under pressure and nicking it away and turning that into from defense into attack. I think that's really important. You're on mute, Sean. I think that's really, really important. And that's what, at the moment, Bentancur can't do. Bergvall and Gray can't do it. Paulinho, it's not his game. Sarr, he can't do that. And Basuma, I don't know. I haven't seen him play for about 4 years.
Yeah.
So this is a really important thing that a lot of people saying he can't play. He clearly has got a good eye for, for where to be on the pitch, where to receive it, and when to let the ball go to an opponent, Sean.
Yeah, I completely concur what you're saying. I think that he is press resistant in that regard. And I think that that's, again, something that we struggle with. Because at the moment, when we come up against teams that do man-to-man press, we really struggle. We really struggle.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. We're slightly better in the second half against teams that do that to us. But if you've got a player there that can receive the ball whilst under pressure, turn, spin, and then go, beating the first man in a man-to-man press, by the way, is one of the 3 ways that you can combat it, essentially, right? You either out-duel people, or you intricately pass it around them, which we don't really have the technical players to do, or you draw players out of position to pull players out and then create space, and then you let someone go and then pop it over the top. But if there's 14 or 15 teams in the Premier League that invariably play man-to-man press against us, full team press, and we have a guy now that can receive the ball under pressure, spin and go, then the entire press breaks down, and then you can really have great moments. I genuinely think that Conor Gallagher will suit the way that the Premier League has pivoted in his absence. I think the last 2 or 3 years has moved into this bigger, faster, stronger thing, and I think he's obviously not a huge guy, but he's certainly battle ready. And I think, like I say, his ability to sort of turn and do those things that can break the full team press. I think that it's going to be really interesting to see how he gets on. I really do think that the game has moved into a direction where he suits it now. It's probably one of the reasons why he wants to come back. He's probably been watching it and going, you know what? I fancy the Premier League now more than I did 2 years ago when it wasn't quite that way. So be interesting to see, mate. I'm not saying he's going to be an absolute sensation or a superstar. No, I really
think he'll be a cult hero, Sean. I think he'll be one of those that for the next 4 or 5 years will be a cult hero, one of the first names on the team sheet because we know what he does. And I know that that's not glamorous, guys. I know that that's not sexy. I know that it's not going to sell millions and millions of shirts. But what did Pochettino say? Every team needs a Conor Gallagher. Now, if we're going to listen to Poch, this is the guy that everyone wants to come back and manage our football club. I guarantee you, when Poch, when I sound like Lubo, when Poch and Kane come back in 2030, if Pochettino does come back, I guarantee you Conor Gallagher's his captain and plays every week. I guarantee it.
I think sometimes he's one of those players that doesn't get enough credit for making everybody around him better.
100%.
And like what you're saying there about nicking the ball, say, for example, West Ham are attacking the weekend and it's Bowen, Paqueta, the new striker, they're all pressing. He nicks the ball, turns and plays it to Xavi instantly. Xavi is going to have 10, 15 yards of space to actually work his magic. And then you could kind of go, okay, fair. Like, let's see what you can actually do now. You've got the ball being provided for you. I think sometimes there is definitely... I mean, everybody rated him, but N'Golo Kante, I'm not saying they're the same player, but the amount of times he would just turn and lay the ball and when they would counter-attack and they would have so much space, it was so much more, it just ticked more. That's the only way I could say. He's like the cog that you take the cog out, the whole team breaks down. And I really do feel that if he's in there nicking the ball and playing the ball forward, I feel like Xavi will go up a level. And we will.
One thing I really do want to stress to people that are like excited to see him when he gets playing, like, do pay attention to what he does when we have the ball, but he's not on the ball, because the value of him creating space, drawing players out, like a little bit, like people didn't appreciate Dominic Solanke last season, and I kept trying to reinforce it to people that he was that guy that was the sacrificial lamb, and a lot of the goals that Brennan Johnson scored, 50% of that value should have been attributed to Dominic Solanke, because of the kind of selflessness of taking on for the team, of drawing players out of position to make room for certain things at the back post for Jono to get in. I think that you'll see this not in the same way, but I think you'll see similar value, but you have to be paying attention to it. And if you're someone that just watches people when they're on the ball and then judges them just on that,
or judges them just by GA, right?
Or anything like that, any overly simplified, output metric, then I think you'll miss a trick a little bit with that. And I think that a lot of the value that Conor Gallagher does is off the ball, like not just winning it back and his grind and his determination, but also when we have the ball, it's not necessarily him that's on the ball, but he's still creating value by creating space for other people.
Do you know an interesting thing as well here, guys, is we always talk about it with other clubs, but when it comes to our club, we don't seem to want it. So, for example, lots of people said for years, didn't they, that, well, Liverpool have got their Henderson, first name on the team sheet, not the greatest player in the Liverpool team, but I bet you every player in that Liverpool team says they love playing with him, right? Yeah. You look at Sunderland right now, Granit Xhaka. Again, if you say Granit Xhaka on paper, what's he amazing at? No, I bet you want him in your team, right? Because you know what you're going to get. He's a leader, he's a character, and he does all the things that Sean just mentioned. I think we've now got that. Now, I think what people are confusing, Rain, here is just because I like this signing, or you might like this, or whoever, doesn't mean that I want Spurs to stop there. Doesn't mean that Spurs should go, right, there you go, we signed Conor Gallagher, because essentially what we've done here is got rid of one homegrown player in Brennan Johnson for 35 million, right? Bought in another homegrown player for what, 35 million, right? So literally, Spurs should be good to go. We should be right now. And we're going to move into this a bit later about the other players that are linked. But this is our Henderson. This is our Xhaka, this is our. Do you know what I mean? Is that a positive way to look at it, Rain?
Well, I think what people are underselling as well, right? It's we all love a player who's developed in the club, becomes. We all love the Gareth Bale, the Harry Kane,
Sure.
who we bought, or has been at the club very young and becomes, a really sort of cracking top player. But for the players that they're playing alongside, there's an added element of stress there, right? They're having to look after this guy. Like when we signed Sousa, I was like, I've gone and had a look at the compilation. It's short because he hasn't played that many games. Looks decent. But the one thing that is if he does play, Van der Ven, one of our best players, now has an extra responsibility. On top of not just performing himself, he's also got this responsibility to look after this kid on the left-hand side, new to the Premier League, new to this country, new to the club. Conor Gallagher is going to come in, he's going to slot straight in. Paulinho, where he may go and press now, and he's doing it because he's not sure what's happening next to him. He's not sure what Gray is going to do. He's not sure what Bergval's going to do.
Yeah,
he'll
know what Gallagher's going to do, right?
He's going to know what Gallagher, and he and Gallagher are going to build a relationship really, really, really quick. And that's something that our club is desperate for. We're desperate for players to start building effective relationships. Porro and Kudus threatened to do it until Kudus got triple marked. We're desperate for, Sean is always saying that Spence is. We can't play Spence at left back because he doesn't build those relationships, and his extra limitation that he can't play with his left foot means that he's really, really stifling us on that left-hand side, because it means it kind of nullifies whatever left winger we play. You see the amount of times Tell or Odebear, when he played on the left, didn't get the ball. It's just bonkers. So this is exactly the type of player who we should. I'm fascinated to see who we now start, who else we now sign. We absolutely need somebody to dovetail in the 10 with Xavi, because it doesn't look like Kulu's coming back anytime soon if he's now going to start having injections. We desperately need somebody on the left wing. Is Adeyemi.
James Flower's going to get his chance to be my version of Kolo Muani. If he starts if Adeyemi comes to Tottenham and if he slips, if he so much as sneezes, I'm going to be on you like beans on toast, Flower.
No chance, mate. That guy, if you're talking about a winger, mate, he's got everything. He's got absolutely everything. I would love it.
He's got burn speed, doesn't he? He's got ridiculous.
Let's move on. Let's move on to that, guys, because I think the key thing is, look, I think we all acknowledge good signing, but yes, we still need a ball playing number 8. I don't think anyone's saying because we've got Gallagher we don't. But I do think that something Stel said last night, which is really, really important, is we are still very lackluster when we go forward. We don't have good wingers at the moment. Look, and listen, we're not going to sign 5 in January. We're not, as you know, best wishes and all that. But we desperately need 2 wide men. We've got nothing really on the left. We've got nothing on the right now that Kudus has gone and Kudus is injured and Johnson's been sold. I think, guys, that we might go for a right-sided player and left-sided player and leave the forward area for now. I think with Solanke and James's mate Muani, I think there's enough there that you're going to get through to the end of the season.
What are you getting from Muani? Well, no, sorry. He did control that football. Did you see that?
No. But what I mean is, what's more important at the moment is listen. What's more important at the moment is wide men, right? You've got Solanke, you've got Muani that can play up front. Do you guys agree that the next 2 signings that come in has got to be 2 wide men? And if so, the reports today, the real report because I put these at different levels. I'm not Sean. I know Sean will tell you all they're A-star and they're all happening. Right. The real
I don't do that. I don't do that. I
No.
ridicule them as I go through them, but I still have to go through them.
I know. The real report is the name that we wanted in the summer and is still floating around now is Akliush, who we're being told is available for 35 million. I think is a really, really good footballer, no matter where he plays. And then the loose report, I would say, is the Adeyemi one, because James sent it to me with, oh my God, like heart eyes and everything. Adeyemi,
yeah, absolutely. Please.
Do we see any of these happening? Do Spurs have to do something else other than Gallagher for fans to get off of the owner's back, so to speak?
Yeah. That without a doubt they have to. With what we got now, you can have all the best defence and midfield in the world. If you don't put a ball in the back of the net, you don't win games. Yeah, and that's just how it is. For me, I wouldn't mind not getting a right winger, because with the potential of Kudus coming in back, I know he's going to be out for a while. But for me, we have no left winger. So that for me is the priority. You fix the places that you need first. I know injuries are harsh and unforgiving, but for me, we have no left winger. I would put a left winger and a striker ahead of a left winger and a right winger, personally.
Even though Kudus is injured and Brennan Johnson's gone.
Yeah, for me, because I don't want to sign another player that's kind of not going to sit on the bench, but kind of you expect Kudus to come in and be mainstay, and then I would like a mainstay left winger. Unless you are going to sign, say for example, you signed Akilish and Adeyemi. Adeyemi could play across the front three, and so could Akilish. So for me, unless you're going to sign people that can play in kind of multiple, I would rather go for a left winger and a striker, because Solanke's not fit, Richarlison's injured, Kolo Muani just looks like he can't be asked. So, and then you've got Tell, young kid. For me, I would like a striker. I think you can make do with a winger as long as you've got a striker. I think Odegaard and Tell could play as a right winger if you had a striker and a top left winger.
Okay, I mean, guys, do you agree with that? Because I can't see any way, shape, or form. I've not seen any link or noises that a striker is even on a radar. Every time Ornstein talks, or any of the Spurs people talk, they talk about wingers and midfielders.
No idea why Tottenham are not competing with Besiktas for Ademola Lookman.
Oh,
it's €1.5 million loan fee on an
Fenerbahce.
Fenerbahce, sorry. I was confused those two. It's like, what are we doing?
Is there a limit for loans? I mean, you can have him.
I think there's 5, isn't it? Or something, but we're not at the limit, right? So like, I don't understand it. £1.5 million. What is that? What's that in footballing terms? It's nothing. And you take a look at him, and if it turns out
you're on mute, Sean. You muted yourself.
Yeah, I thought it was my headphones there.
Ryan, can you talk just so I know?
Yeah, sorry.
You're back. You're back.
Sean, get the hell of a wig out.
I'll bring it on in a second. I've got no idea why. I'll do it now. I have absolutely no idea why. This is a club. 25 years, and these are owners. Sign the Ademola Lookman from Atalanta. What are we doing here? I don't get it. €1.5 million.
That fringe is perfect.
That's amazing.
This is club, guys. Honestly, it's absolutely mental. Like, he can play off the left, he can play off the right, he can play in the 9 as well. I know he's a little guy, he's like 5'9", but he plays in the 9 all the time for Atalanta when they play with a back 3 model. Yeah, I don't get it. It's like, if you're just looking what you want, and
what I've seen some people say is it's a no D head policy, but you know what? I absolutely want characters at our club. I want people who are driven to succeed. And Lookman is going to come back to the Premier League, and he is going to have a freaking point to prove. He is going to, when he lands back in the Premier League, all these people saying your little stint out in Italy and all the stuff you've done over there means nothing. He is going to go, yeah, well, this is what I do, and he's going to land and do it. I really, really want us to give him that opportunity, even on just a loan. You know, we took the chance on Mawani. Lookman can't be worse, can he? I mean,
Definitely
Well, I
not.
mean, was he a dickhead? Was he a dickhead when he was scoring a hat trick in a Europa League final?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
No, it wasn't. No.
but somebody's made a good point in the chat. Our fans praise when Romero does dickhead stuff, right? It's all right for our captain to do dickhead stuff,
I love it.
and
It's
everyone
not okay,
praise.
by the way. It's not okay for him to do that.
Sean, I completely agree. I couldn't believe that conversation last night where people think it's okay to call out your bosses and the people that pay you in public. Like, in no other realm, in no other walk of life is that acceptable, apart from online football fans that go, no, he did the right thing. No.
They only say that because they agree with him.
Yeah.
It's not about whether he was right or wrong to do it. It's was he right what he said. No. It's the argument was it right for him to do it in that setting? Like, say what you got to say behind closed doors, for sure.
Absolutely.
But don't do it in public. It's ridiculous. Sends a horrible message.
But guys, Sean makes a point there. Look, it was 1.5 million for a loan fee for Lookman. But by the way, also, I don't know if any of you saw that. Who just took Raspadori on a 1.5 million loan?
He's gone to Napoli, hasn't he?
Atalanta. He's gone to Atalanta. Where
he left Napoli, went to Spain, and now he's gone back to Atalanta. Is it? He's gone to Atalanta. Yeah.
But again, 1.5 million loan fee, right? But by the way, sorry, just quickly, can I just say, Alex, dude, see, this is the difference, right? In the grown-up world of business, you're not a lapdog if you think that calling out your owners, the guy that pays your wages in public, isn't a good scenario. That's not lapdogs. What we're saying is, and I don't think you can quite wrap your mind around this, I want Romero to call it out. I want Romero to go behind the scenes with him and his agent, or him and Mickey and James Maddison as the other captains, to go, sorry, Gaffer, sorry, Vinay, we're not happy. This isn't right. Them doing it in public, if anyone can tell me what that achieves other than more heat on the club, and again, what people like this don't understand is, do we really want other players out there in the world seeing that? Do we want other players, agents, managers? Sorry,
hanging your dirty laundry out to dry, and everyone can see it.
It's not about being a lapdog, mate. If you've ever worked for a company, my last company I worked for, if I had called out the CEO on my Instagram account, I'm being called in to the office Monday morning, and I'm being given my P45 there or then. That's not how the real world works, mate.
Completely unprofessional.
I just want to be clear.
Didn't you call your CEO out because he made a bad substitution?
I just want to be clear. The social media stuff is not what I'm talking about. When I say I love the fact.
Just God.
I love the fact when Romero tries to step up in game, although he can go a little bit too far. He's very emotional. But yeah, the social media stuff. In any business, any other job, you get sacked. You are absolutely. I mean, I've seen people get sacked for way less. Way. You know
what's even worse though, Rain? For me, it's the fact that the club didn't chastise him for it. There was no reprimand. I think that also sends a horrendous message.
But Sean, don't you think that's all part of the kind of the ingrained culture that some of us have been talking about for years? It's this, like, the players, there's no accountability for what goes on when the players do what they want.
Well, there is with Basuma though. I think if I'm East Basuma, I'm looking at massive double standards, right? Jed Spence threw his shirt on the floor, and if he'd done that 5 yards further in a more visible format, he would have been booed off the pitch. And then the next time he was brought on, like Hossam Ghali, would have been booed, and like Harry Redknapp had to put him back on the bench. No reprimand for that. No reprimand for Destiny Udogie, for Mickey van der Ven, and for Jed Spence when they disobeyed Thomas Frank's orders after the game when they refused to clap the fans and they walked straight off the pitch. No reprimand for Christian Romero when he did it last time when he called out the board, and no reprimand this time. But Yves Basuma gets sandbagged and thrown under the bus because
that's true.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting there saying that he shouldn't have been, because he
I agree
blew
with you,
balloons or whatever he did, and he turned up late to training. for sure. Fine him a week's wages, make him face his consequences of his actions, but as too should the others. And I think that there is a distinct lack of respect, and it's the tail wagging the dog between who it is that's in charge of the football club. And that's why I said in equal measure, first and foremost, Romero needs to shut the F up. Also, Richarlison and Pedro Porro, who applauded him and said spot on in that Instagram reply, they need to shut the F up and realise how poor they've been this season as well. But on top of that, the football club need to set something in motion here where these guys don't get to behave like that, because we fear who it is that's really who are the bigger profiles, and who's more important. Like, is the club bigger than the players, or the players bigger than the club? It looks like the players are bigger than the club. And you see that with certain other toxic environments like Kylian Mbappe. Right, Kylian Mbappe, what he did what he started to do at PSG. The PSG guy wouldn't take it, shipped him out, and PSG went and won the Champions League. Now Kylian Mbappe is doing the same thing at Real Madrid. And now guess what happened? Florentino Perez said to Xavi Alonso, sorry, bro, we got to pick one of you. Like, if you let these players think that they're bigger than the club, it sets a horrible precedent. And I think you have to reprimand and take these people by the kind of scruff of the neck and say, you're incredibly entitled, you're very good at what you do, but let's be honest, you just kick a fucking football around. Have some respect for the hierarchy, have some respect for the institution that is the football team and the football club. And I think it's a terrible example to set to children. I think it's a terrible example to set to the fans of the football club who don't know who it is that's calling the shots. And for all intents and purposes, it looks to me like the players believe that they are bigger and have more power than the manager does, and the CEO does, and the directors of football. And it looks like it because it kind of feels like it, because none of them have any consequences for their behaviour.
But paying. Oh, sorry, Dan, go on.
No, go on, James. That's right.
Yeah, playing sort of like devil's advocate, though, he did quite clearly state that the lies from above. So how do we know that he hasn't gone to them and said, look, I want to leave, and they've said, right, you stay, we're going to do X, Y, Z. He stayed. Everything's kind of they didn't fulfill what they said. Started January transfer window, still haven't fulfilled what they've said. He's gone back and spoke to them behind doors. We don't know if he has done all what you're asking. And then to the point of, what more do you do? Keep going saying, I'm not happy, I'm not happy, I'm not happy. Eventually,
it's an internal issue, Flower. It's an internal issue, mate. Like,
I agree. But if he's being promised, I mean, don't get me wrong, that the money and stuff they're on caters for everything. But if he was promised, look, if you stay here, we're actually going to build now. Daniel Levy's going to go, or XYZ, we're going to be doing this. We've been told they want to start winning, and then they don't. You've kind of, a bit naive for you to sign a new contract in the first place under that kind of circumstances. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. We don't know if he's done that.
I think
even if that's true, sorry, just quickly, Danny. Even if that's true, what does it solve by bringing it out in public?
Well, because you've tried to do it the right way, and you're just getting pushed, and he knows that the moment he opens up like that, half the fan base are going to say, "Yeah, see, he was lied to as well." Harry Kane had that. Right. Gentleman's agreement. It just continuously happened.
He's deflecting from his own ineptitude. Because what else is he inferring? I tried to make this point to Stell last night. He just wouldn't hear it, wouldn't listen to it. He's also inferring that the players that he has to play with are not good enough. And by the way, Richarlison saying spot on, and
they're the culprits as well.
Let's be entirely honest, right? If we started to buy players that Romero is clearly saying, if the inference here is we were lied about ambition, you promised us we were going to buy better players. If we bought better players when we could play better football, does Richarlison really think he's not one of the guys that Romero's talking about not being good enough?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sure. Do you know, Sean? This is why I haven't got a problem with Romero leaving now, because I think he's part of this cultural problem that we have, where the player power it's like they're bigger than the club, kind of what you've been alluding to. And for me, I think you need, in order to be a team that's going to be consistent at a high level, you need all the players on board and going in the same direction. And when you've got players, what it looks like, where they're playing for themselves and for their own agendas, you're always going to get disruption, toxic environments. So for me, like, he's another one that I think, I don't care if he goes or not, to be honest with you. I really couldn't care less.
No, like, let's be honest. Kevin Danso, every single time Kevin Danso's come into the team,
yep.
He's obviously not as good a passing footballer, a passing centre-back as Romero is, but I think he's more reliable in the air, and I think he's just as good defensively. In that Aston Villa performance, and Stel was saying to me in the WhatsApp group, he was like, you wanted Romero, you scapegoated Romero and you wanted him out. Look what Danso did. And I was like, yeah, look what he did. He was he got like 8 interceptions, 4 clearances, and 7 tackles. He was by far the best defensive player on the pitch that day.
He always looks
every
solid.
single time he comes in, the second that Romero's back, he's immediately hooked back to the bench again. So it's not about meritocracy on who deserves to be playing. It's about status, and that again goes to the problem at the football club, where certain players think they can do what they want, say what they want, because they are first choice and no one's going to take my position. And let's be entirely honest, Romero's season thus far has been very, very indifferent to me.
Sean, it's not just the season, mate. It's not just this season. It's like the last how long has he been here? 5 years? He's never had one full season where he's been solid throughout the whole season. Not once since he's been here.
No.
Van
der
Ven
sent off in major games, right? He got us sent off when we were down to 10 member fighting for that equaliser against Liverpool. Let's go back to the Conte year. Was it Conte when we were 1-0 down against AC Milan in the Champions League quarterfinal?
Yeah.
And he got sent off in that game. Lots of games where his petulance and stupidity and rush of blood has cost us in mate. And I could think of 5 or 6 more if you give me 5 minutes. I won't bother. But like, he's not exactly the Mr. Reliable. When he's on, he's brilliant, but he's not on all the time.
Sean, but isn't this half the problem? I've said this. City are 2-0 up, by the way, and yes, everybody talking to me about Yan Diamonde news. Can we please use the news carefully? All that's happened is Fabrizio Romano has confirmed that Spurs did approach. Spurs tried to sign Yan Diamonde and were told that he's not available in the winter. So please don't get excited that there's news. We're not buying Yan Diamonde. We asked, and apparently he's not available.
We don't want him anyway.
I fully expect him to be at Bayern Munich or someone very big in
He'll be at Liverpool in the summer.
Or Liverpool go buy Olise and then they get Diamonde as a replacement or something like that.
But there you go. See, now this is, I think it's an interesting conversation, this one, because Sean, I'll make you right on that. I wouldn't mind if Romero's behaviour was impeccable, right? If he led by example on and off the pitch, I would turn around and have a little bit. I still don't think it's right. I still think that I don't know whether this is a young thing in this day and age, but I think certainly most of the older people I'm talking to don't think it's right that you do this in public, because for me, it sets a dangerous precedent. What if next week Ben Davies calls out them? Are they going to accept it or not because it's Ben Davies and not Romero? Like there's the parameters around this for me are weird, right? But Romero's behaviour. This is a guy who's been given the captain's armband. I see no leadership from him in any way, shape, or form, right? I see this guy going down the tunnel instead of going over to the fans and clapping them. I don't see him stopping our fans arguing with our players. I don't see him stopping the players fighting with each other. And then he comes in, the board have got to do better. Well, hang on, dude. You've just signed a new contract in the summer. You've literally just signed a new contract in the summer, right? If you didn't like it and things were that bad, you could have gone. You could hand in a transfer request, but you've been given the armband. And I think that sorry, guys, I just think there's a right way to go about things. We all laugh at Bruno Fernandes when he does it. Everyone was saying, how many of these Spurs fans saying Romero was right, said Mo Salah was right? Mo Salah, when he calls out the club in that interview, we're all going, oh, no, don't do that, Mo. Like, don't do that. That's not the way to do it. Do it behind the scenes. When Romero does it, people go, oh, I'm glad he did it. Yeah, let's let the rest of the football world see that this is an absolute shit show and a shambles. I just think it's unneeded attention for me from our captain. That's where I'm at with it.
When was the last time you remember somebody being fined? Do you remember? I remember, back in the 90s and noughties. I can't remember who specifically. I remember players getting fined. I remember, on Soccer Saturday, the guys regularly talking about what they would do with their fines. Right? It would go into a jar. They'd go to charity. They'd do this, do that, do the other. I don't think that happens anymore. I don't think any of them. I don't think there's any consequences for their behaviour. I think there's so much player power that they effectively do whatever they want, basically, within reason, obviously. And it's clearly gone too far. I don't want to. I'm sorry. I don't want to kick something off, but I had no real. How can I put this? I don't want to kick something off, but the biggest problem I had last year was that a culture was created where it was players versus the fans, and that needs to be fixed. But this is not the way to do it. The way to do it is to play better football, not fight with fans. Have empathy with the fans for what we're seeing, and all the people who are saying maybe he loves the club. This is not the way to do it. This isn't the way to do it.
Can I feel then?
Having a meltdown. All he's doing is engineering a move out. That's what he's doing.
I agree.
That's all the people who are saying maybe it's because he loves the club. And I saw Spurs 5. You know, it's great. It's exactly what. No. What he's doing is, if anything, is creating an exit. So if that's what you want, if you want our captain to create an exit from our club, then yeah, you agree with what he's doing. So you go for it.
Let me ask you what that, guys, before we go back to the transfer links, let me ask that. If you heard that Romero had been sold, is anybody that bothered? Like, is he that irreplaceable? Because for me, I've never watched him and gone, you're Mr. Consistent. I don't know what we'll do without you. I think Sean's right. When he's on it, he's on it. But I feel like in the last 2 years, he's been more off it than on it.
I think he's the best passing centre back. I can't think of a better passing centre back in the league than him when he's on it. I think he's unbelievable. I think he's absolutely sensational. Defensively, I think, like, you know, we've gone through it. But if you're going to lose him,
Alex, grow up, mate. Alex, sorry, mate. I'm just going to say this: grow up. This has got nothing to do with Thomas Frank. Like, not everything has to come back to Thomas Frank. If anything, this conversation's got nothing to do with Thomas Frank, dude. Get a grip, mate. Get a grip. Sorry. I hate it when this kid starts doing this nonsense. Sorry, Sean, go on.
That's right. Yeah, I think if you were going to lose him or sell him in the summer, I think it's only acceptable if you seriously improve the passing ability of, like, the midfield, for example. And those sorts of things. I think you can't lose his passing acumen at the moment without replacing it. And I don't know if there's that many other centre backs, but I don't think Tottenham are a team that need to have centre backs that are sensational. Like, you look at players like Jean-Paul Van Hecker, for example, brilliant centre back from Brighton. I think he's absolutely I think he's a brilliant. Does his job, right? And so does the Brighton, his Brighton partner, Dunk. Like, he doesn't. They haven't got fantastic passing, but you look at Brighton's football and you go, we could, like, you know, they still play unbelievable stuff. So I just think that if you replace him, I'm not sure what's happened there in the game. If you replace him, then if you sell him, then you need to make sure that the passing gap isn't left unanswered.
Yeah.
For me, what I'd like to
was that ruled out offside? Sorry, was that ruled out? Was it?
I haven't got a clue what's happening.
Yeah, it was ruled out for offside. The game's gone. The game is
seeing the difference. Seeing the difference between a game played when VAR is involved and at the weekend when everybody, admittedly, we wanted the result to go a different way, but everybody enjoyed football without it stopping for like 7 or 8 minutes for somebody else to go and have a look at a screen. It's just, I absolutely hate VAR with a vengeance.
I couldn't work out what was wrong with it.
No, same. No, there was 3 players behind him when he scored. I don't get it. But with Romero, what you're saying there, I would almost like rephrase the question and say, I think he's probably lost us more games than he's won this season. Whereas I think when he first come to us, he would have a lot more games, good games, and mistakes. Well, I think this season he's made more mistakes than he's had good games. So I personally think that, look, when he's on his form, he's right up there. He's so good when he's on form. Do you have an average defender there every week in, week out because of a hope that one game he's going to get a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, but knowing the next game he could get a 3 out of 10? I don't know. I prefer my sort of centre backs to be reliable. I think that's the first attribute I'd look for my centre back. Are you reliable? Are you just solid 7 out of 10 every week? Because sometimes when you do have those 4 or 5 out of 10 weeks, you lose.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it, with Romero? I mean, this isn't hindsight. For anyone who's been watching me for years, I've said this for years about Romero. When he's on it, great. But there are far too many games that I watch and go, do you even care? Are you interested? But hey, it is what it is. Look, let's go to I want to go back to Akliouche, because Akliouche, for me, I feel like this is going to be the one that gets done. This feels like we wanted him in the summer. All the noises are that we want him again now. He's 35 million, I believe, which again is really good business. Very good technically. He's another one that will help us with that better passing, better hold up play, better dribbling. What do you guys make of Akliouche?
I think he's a class player, a tidy footballer. I think that you can't go wrong. And like you're saying, the money you're talking, surely it's a no-brainer. See, I'm a bit different with, I know people were saying about Lookman. I would rather go for someone like this over a Lookman, because I think there's more potential there. Obviously, I would take both because it's only £1 million. Like you're saying, in that aspect, of course, take both. But for me, if you was to pick one, it would be someone like him over Lookman.
Only problem I've got with Akliouche, not a problem with him, by the way. Just said it on the BR did. I think he's a brilliant player. I do think he'd need to get in the gym a little bit to handle the Premier League. French league's just different, but talent. But he plays. I think he's a 10. I think he's a 10 that drifts in because he's a left-footed 10 that comes in from the right-hand side. So not that dissimilar to what you'd have with Xavi Simons. And I just think that, look, I'm not saying don't buy them, right? Because you just need to build out the squad and stuff. But he's not a touchline winger for me. I don't think he's the sort of guy that hangs on the touchline and just stays there, waits for the ball, and then takes a man on, sort of like what Kudus is, or what we're looking for in a Yandy Amandi or a Solis or one of those types of guys. They're people that just sort of stand on the wing or wait for the ball, and then they'll do their stuff. For me, Akliouche wants to come inside and do intricate feathered passing and through balls and sort of deft touches. Very, very much a future out and out 10 in my opinion. And just because he happens to be left-footed, he happens to start off the right-hand side. And I just think there's a little bit of space cannibalization in that regard. I just think that, if you had Xavi Simons and you had Akliouche on the same team, or if you had Maddison, imagine if they were all fully fit, right? And Decky as well, you're going to have a lot of players that just want to come inside and become very narrow. And I think listen, I'd still figure it out, right? Figure it out, get them in and then figure it out because they're brilliant talents. But if you're just looking for profiles, and we're talking about our midfielders, there's a lot of similar profiles of players. Some are better than others, but there's not necessarily the full gamut of what you need in midfield profiles. I think you could say exactly the same thing about the wingers if you go and get someone like Akliouche as well. I don't think it's necessarily the priority, unless he has something in him that I haven't seen, which is touchline take on specialist, but I haven't seen that. So
Sean, you're saying that similar to Xavi, who we got in the summer, clearly looked a little bit lightweight, but busy, and now as clearly we can see it. You can see it.
He's put on weight. Yeah, Chavi's been in the gym.
And you're saying that Akliouche is probably in your mind going to be similar, and it makes sense, right? That's the Premier League, isn't it? The Premier League
is taller,
is physical, but he's going to need to build a little bit of strength, especially wingers these days. That they need to be able to hold somebody off. They need to be able to compete. But like you say, that's not a reason not to get him. You get him in and get him in the gym. We've got a gym. It's called Hot Spa Way, 6-star.
Yeah, but if you have, I mean, look, how much did you say it was? 30 million euros.
I think it's roughly like 35 million is what they're talking about.
If that's the case, I can't believe that. But if that is the case, then unbelievable value.
Unbelievable. I thought it was £50 million. That's what I thought I saw. £50 million.
Yeah, I'd say it's more like that sort of level. But even then, right? So I'm just saying, it's not just about the kind of the lightweight of him. For me, just my concern is, I feel like maybe we should have got him rather than Xavi Simons, back in the summer. I think that maybe there was that profiling then, and we had 4 or 5 different options to go for in that 10 role when Maddison got injured, and we picked Xavi over him, and that's fine. It is what we did. And I still think Xavi Simons will be a great player for us, and as he acclimates. But I just think that now that decision has been made, if you go back and get Akliouche because he's available, cool. But that doesn't give you that dual threat that I want someone that can hit the play from the middle, which I think Alex Garcia is a great guy for that. Look at his FB ref stats; it's just unbelievable. Stick him in the middle, and then you have a left winger and a right winger that can hug the touchline. Yeah, if they want to drift in, no problem, but also have the ability to take players on the outside. Then you have that dual threat where the fullbacks have to sit there and go, "Holy shit, I'm 1-on-1 against insert Yandy Amandi there or whoever, and then they either take it on themselves, in which case you'll get better outcomes more often than not than bad ones, or they ask for help from either their centre back or from the sixth to come over, in which case you create the space in the midfield for someone like Xavi Simons to be able to exploit in the second phase. That's what I'd like to see. But Akliouche isn't that, as far as I'm aware, Akliouche isn't that sort of guy. But I don't watch.
It's different types of wingers, isn't it? Like, so for example, anyone who's watching the Man City game right now on the screen is watching an example of a flying winger in Jeremy Doku, who's just taken on about 4 people, hugged the touchline, and won a foul. Whereas Akliouche, if we watch him, is more of your link-up play, isn't he? He's more of he might start out wide for tactical purposes, but what he wants to do is he wants to get the ball, come inside, join up, link the dots with a Xavi Simons or a Solanke, whoever it may be. I've got no problem with that because he can play on the left, he can play on the 10, he can play on the right. For me, I kind of agree with you, Sean. I don't think there's a reason not to get him. I want to see good technical players, and I think if you can find a way to get him, if you've got Gallagher and Paulinho as your 2, it allows you to get a few more of these intricate, smaller players in front of them that want to keep the ball and do all the nice, pretty stuff because you've got that insurance policy behind them. I just think where we're at
could
right
also
now,
give it to a Christmas tree formation if you wanted to as well, right?
Sure.
You have different profiles. It means you have different options. I don't hate it at all. Don't hate it at all.
No, absolutely. I just think where we are right now, I think we've got to get a few more people that are comfortable on the ball in those forward areas. We've got a lot of people that are reactive and they come to life when they get it. I think we need people that demand it and know what's around them. They've scanned the pitch and they're comfortable to play the 1-2s. And I don't think we've got enough of those. So I'd take him all day long. But the last thing I'll say on this is, if you're going to get that style on the right, I think the guy you get on the left needs to be more of an out-and-out winger. I think you can have one that isn't, but one's got to be. You can't have both that all tuck into play where Xavi Simons does. That would be my take on it.
Yeah, I agree.
So a lot of people were saying, Liverpool didn't play very well against us. But the one thing that they did, which we just don't do, we just don't seem to be mentally capable of doing. And I'm hoping, Conor Gallagher is going to get about them. I see Romero losing his nut about players not doing it, is making runs and making options for our players to pass to. If Akliouche helps that, because that's what he's used to, and is that kind of intricate player, we need more players who understand that you need to run before you get the ball as well as when you've got the ball.
That's where I mean, again, I echo what Sean says. I haven't seen him week in, week out, but that's why for me, I would rather Adeyemi or someone like that, somebody that makes those runs, because I do feel like Xavi can find those parts. I think he's got that in his locker to find those passes. The one thing we don't have is someone that wants to run the line and run the wing. Even with Kudos, in fairness, his hold-up play is fantastic, but naturally he wants to hold up and link up play, whereas I would love a winger, underplaying him a little bit, but you knew what Aaron Lennon was going to do every single time, and you knew how good he was at that one trick, so do it. And I think it opens the pitch up if you've got someone coming deeper and one going in behind, and I feel like we have got the players in Xavi for now. Maddison, when he comes back, we've got a few players that can find that path, but that's pointless if you've got no one making the runs. That's where, for me, I like my wingers a bit more traditional. I don't mind you sort of Phil Foden on one side who just wants to come in and link in, but again, I would like a winger to be a winger.
Yep. Thing is, when you play like that, and it's not that I disagree with you, James. I think in the olden day when teams played like that, it was less about possession football. So it was very much about the ball was being turned over by both teams because it was get forward, get crosses in. Oh, we've lost it. Next team's attack. Nowadays, not saying this is for the right or for the wrong, but nowadays it seems very much more about possession-based football, and teams don't turn over the ball as much, right? Because it's more about let's wait and see what happens. Let's bring players into the game. If you've got two wingers that just want to get to the byline and cross the ball in, you will turn the ball over a lot. And I don't mind that.
I would have one of each. Sorry, I don't know if I said I would have one of each. I don't know if I said that. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, sorry. I don't disagree with you. I'd love somebody who is a speedster and very direct, like an Adeyemi. But I think as well, you will see a better Kudus when better players are in that team for him to link up with. I do. I think that what I've
He needs
seen.
more space.
Yeah, he definitely needs more
He's
space.
crowded out at the moment. It's crowded out because it's so predictable what we do with the ball every time. He's getting double man marked or treble man marked at times, and there's no like you get the other option, hit it, and then he'll be able to take guys on one and beat them every time.
Yeah, so that's sort of more leading into my point. If we had a Adeyemi type, insert whoever you want, that's just going to run that line, you know that width is always going to be have that width on the left, which then draws naturally the right back out, which then naturally shifts over a little bit, and you can't then free up on Kudus. Most you can do is double up, and then hopefully you'd get Porro involved. So for me, I think the perfect blend would be an out-and-out left winger on the left side, and then somebody like an Angepostecoglou or a Kudus on the right side who does like cutting in and seeing what he can do.
Just the one thing that I got, because I absolutely, I mean, all in on the wingers be wingers, stop the inverted rubbish, and get somebody who can get down the line and actually cross it in. And the one thing I'm going to say, looking back, there used to be two guys in the penalty area attacking balls that were crossed into the box. And right here, right now, we've got one whoever it is this season has been intermittent in quality. Might score a screamer, might completely air kick it. You never know with our forwards who we've got, and nobody else seems to be getting into the box to support them. So all of this needs to come together, doesn't it? It's fine to get a winger.
Gallagher will help with that, by the way, Rain. Gallagher will help with that. He's very good at getting into the. He will. You're laughing. That's what he does. He drives forward. He goes into the box and he grabs himself some goals and chances. So he will help that. But by the way, this was in the blue is Akliouche and in the pink is Adeyemi. So read into that whatever you want to read into that as to the different types.
Richarlison won't be happy. No one's feeding him crosses.
But again, this is why I think James, you're right. Like if it is going to be an Akliouche on the right, I'd want someone like a Malik Fofana on the left, who's more of your traditional tricky winger, beats man, gets across him, right? So I think this is where it all comes down to options, squad building, and we'll see. But look, we know the club like Akliouche because we were linked with him all summer. Miguel Delaney is the one that's come out again and said today, I've heard it all last week from a number of people that Akliouche is again on Spurs' radar. I heard, again, whatever you want to believe, I heard it was between him and Paqueta that Tottenham wanted, but that we've been turned down for Paqueta because he wants to go to Flamengo. Is it Flamengo he wants to go back to?
Yeah.
And West Ham are turning down bids from Flamengo, and now apparently Paqueta's going to go on strike. You can't write it. Brilliant.
Who was Poch's last couple of wingers that he had? Obviously, one of them was Son. Who was on the other side?
And Gian and Kudu.
All right. But anyone other than
he had Son as an inside forward on the left, and then Ericsson and Ali would both kind of move into that right.
Yeah. So that's what I was going to kind of try and come on to, because I wouldn't. I mean, Adeyemi plays predominantly on the left, but he's also kind of played through the middle to the inside forward. If all the rumours are true, and Poch and Gallagher and blah blah blah, could it be like an Adeyemi perfect fit, and then an Akliouche who wants to cut inside, or a Xavi who wants to cut inside, or vice versa, Kudus and Xavi, whatever you want to do.
Sorry, let's not forget under Poch as well. He had this great right fullback who used to bomb down the line and put some crosses in, Carl Walker, right? So we have to
decide Roberto Carlos. What are you on about?
So well, that would be great if we could get the reincarnation. So our right-sided player, that Ericsson, could tuck in because he was just his job was just set Carl Walker free. set Kyle Walker free so that he could cross the ball in. That
Yeah.
was his job. You know, we've all been waiting for Porro to do that.
I don't think Porro is that though. Do you know what?
Yeah.
I've got serious doubts about Pedro Porro. Have had for a number of years. Porro for me is a little bit like Romero, and what I mean by that is every time somebody makes an excuse for Romero or Porro, we always blame the players they're playing with, the manager they're playing for. At some point, when top players are top players, they stand out, right? We saw that for years. Ledley King was a top player. I think we can all agree on that. I don't even know what I'm asking. No Spurs fans going to say opposite. Ledley King played in some shocking Spurs teams, right? But he stood out, didn't he? Because he was that good. And I think at some point, if you are that good, you are got Bale played in some shocking Spurs teams. But Gareth Bale was that good that he stood out. Modric, the same. Sheringham, Kane, Son. If you are that good, you stand out, right? That's Declan Rice at West Ham. He stood out a million miles, right? Semenyo at Bournemouth. Like you stand out if you are that good. And I think we need to stop making excuses for a number of players now. Like every time Gray or Bergvall don't play well, it's, oh, it was Ange. Oh, it's Frank. And it's like, well, hang on. Like you I don't know.
Sometimes the evidence and the facts have just built up enough that you can't argue against it anymore. And I think with Porro, you know, it's built up. It's built up quite a lot. Unfortunately, it's he hasn't been the player that we thought he was going to be. Yeah.
Can I ask you guys?
Just super quick. Just watching a 10-minute whilst we've been talking. 10-minute reel of Adeyemi. I had no idea how strong he is. He's so strong in the tackle. He rides challenges. Play off the right and the left. Yeah,
defend as well.
He comes narrow to win the ball back. He's nowhere near as fast dribbling as he is when he's making a run in behind. Like when he's dribbling with the ball, when he's running with the ball, he's still fast, right? But he's not like, you know, like you got Timo Werner without the ball, and then you got Timo Werner with the ball, and it's like they're two different things. He's not quite the same. Adeyemi's not quite as fast dribbling with the ball, but he's very, very strong. He can bounce off players and ride them, probably just as strong as Kudos can.
I think it was a goal against Chelsea, wasn't it? When one-on-one with Chelsea, flicked it past him, out-muscled him, and then buried it in a bottom corner. Like for me, I've said for him for a long time, the way I judge a good footballer is look at the technique with his goals. I don't know who it was, Champions League. I think it bounced to the edge of the area and he hit it with the outside of his boot and it like nestled in the bottom corner. And you're like, you've got technique. And I think that's the one thing Spurs' wingers don't have, barring Kudos. But I think he's more skilled than sort of technique, is in like finishing and things like that. So, I mean, I've said for him for so long. I saw him years and years ago, and I thought there's such a good player in there, and I think it's exactly what you need with somebody like.
I've always rated him. I just never like. How often do you really watch Dortmund? Like 90 minutes of Dortmund. I've seen clips and stuff. Sure. I just didn't realise how consistently strong he is on the ball. It's very impressive. So yeah, go and get him.
Timo Werner got a transfer today to somewhere, didn't he? Did I see that Timo Werner signed
America? Was it America?
Charlotte was it or something?
Yeah.
Charlotte FC. Go on. Well done, Timo. Well done to our former player, Timo Werner. Guys, can I ask you about
where did Wills go? Where did
Colorado?
Okay, right, okay.
Matty Wells, just before we move on, then, are you saying I'm right again, Sean? Like Kulu now? Is that what you're saying? Is just
Flowers winger?
Yeah, okay.
No, should we go back to the debate?
Sorry, I just daydreamed for a minute. What was that, mate? What did you say?
I said, so what you're saying? I'm right again. I was right back to.
That's what you said. Yeah, no, absolutely not, mate. I'm just saying.
I told you about Odebert. I told you about Tell. I told you about Colo.
Odebert is a baller. And by the way, you're all wrong about Matisse Tell. Matisse Tell is going to become a cult hero at Tottenham Hotspur. Watch this space.
For me, not for me.
He's getting sent out on loan. He's crap.
Do you know? Let me ask you guys something that's been going around a lot the last couple of days. Everything that gets sent to me, anyone who's not happy with the Gallagher deal seems to always need to throw Bergvall and Gray's name in there, right? First of all, I find it offensive that their names are mentioned in the same breath as a player that's captained Chelsea and played for Atletico Madrid in England. But what they all say is, oh, Conor Gallagher's going to stunt the progression of Gray and Bergvall and stunt their minutes. Now, guys, I've got so many points about this. I won't go into them, all of them, but my main one is, don't we have to sit and ask ourselves, what do we want to be? Like, if we want to be a club that's just going to be to sit here and our main aim is to give Gray and Bergvall minutes to see what they might become, in the same breath, then, haven't we got to stop them worrying about what owners we've got or what manager we've got? Because it doesn't really matter. Shouldn't we be worrying about the first team here and now? Or am I being harsh?
It's not just that. It's not just that. It's the fact that they shouldn't be developing in our first team. First team squad, maybe, right? But first team, no. And actually, I'm going to go back to Kyle Walker, right? We bought Kyle Walker in the mid noughties. He went out on loan, was on our bench, and then got his chance at around 21 in our 2021 in our first team. That's the way to develop a player. That's the way to develop a young man into an effective footballer. It's not to throw them to the wolves, age 18, for them to learn their mistakes in your Premier League football team. Bergvall and Gray, whatever we think of them now, yes, they will develop, given the opportunities. I was somebody in the summer, I didn't want all these players going out on loan, right? I know that a lot of other people did, but my argument was I prefer these young men learning their trade from training with international Netherlands international Van
not
der Ven,
playing,
right? Well,
playing.
But age 18, 19, I think they should be developing their situational awareness, their ability to actually.
How can you? Sorry, Rain, but how can you do that if you're not playing?
Well, because you're on a training pitch, right? But my point is, you learn from who you're around. I have a problem with the loan system personally. I know that most other people don't agree with it. I don't think we should be sending players out to League One to be learning to be League One players. That's my personal beef.
No, but they're not learning to be League One players, though, are they? They're learning. They're so. I mean, if we just take the basics, missing a penalty. If they miss a penalty at a young age, they're like, right, that's hard. Got to live with that. Got to deal with that. Grow from that. Move forward. There's a lot you learn playing with adults.
The harsh reality is that kids will level up to the level that they're challenged to. That's my opinion. That's my view. If you give a kid and you say, reach this level, and they're capable of doing it, and they'll reach it. They won't reach this level if you don't challenge them to that level. That's my point.
No, but you don't go.
But the point is, Gray and Bergvall should not be playing 90 minutes in our Premier League football team. That they absolutely shouldn't. They should be playing 15, 20 minutes. They should be learning their trade. They should be learning from role models on the training pitch, and when they actually get minutes on. At the moment, we're giving them too many opportunities to fail in the Premier League. And I don't think it helps them.
I listen. I'll be honest. Maybe I'm biased because I've worked in youth football at Premier League clubs, but young players would completely disagree with you as well. They want to play. Let's look at some examples of our own football club. Let's look at some of the past and some right now. Vuskovic is currently the Bundesliga Player of the Year at the turn of the year, getting 1 second.
I'll tell you what. Whilst he goes away, maybe we shouldn't think, how do we develop young players, because we're rubbish.
But I think that's.
Maybe we should have a look at a club that does develop young players really, really well, like Manchester City. Do Manchester City send all their players out on loan? No, they don't. They develop them through their academy and through their youth teams, and then give them minutes in their first team. I'm just saying.
You say that though. Very rarely they buy a lot of their young talent, not bring them through, and they just put them into their youth and stuff. But also they sell a lot. They get to a certain level and they just sell, more in, sell. For me personally, are you saying that Mikey Moore would have learned more training with a team this season than going out on loan to Rangers?
I'm saying Mikey Moore would have got minutes in our team. I was really worried about Mikey Moore going out on loan, and actually in the first little stint that he had at Rangers, it looked like it was a disaster. Let's be clear. And if it hadn't changed, if Martin hadn't been sacked, then it would have been a disaster. It would have been of course. Wait a minute. It would have been a wasted year. Now, actually, it's turned out that it's given him. It's shown that he's got a bit of mental, capacity about him. He's got a little bit of fortitude, and he's actually and he can step up. So that's fine.
Yeah, but you could say that with anybody, mate. To be fair, you could say that about Massive Tell. Tell isn't getting a fair. You could say Tell ain't getting a fair crack under Frank. Does that mean we've wasted that? Or you could say that about anybody.
My point about Man City is still valid, and actually what you're saying, which is they sell them on, but they sell them straight from the academy, mate. Cole Palmer didn't go out on loan; they sold him straight from the academy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So my point, neither of us is right. Neither of us is 100% right. But I'm looking at Man City. I'm looking at Liverpool and the way that they develop their youngsters, and they don't use the loan system. And I'm wondering if this
I disagree.
If this thing that we all know, go and do some research on it, and then maybe we'll come back.
If you go now,
educate yourself, bro. Educate yourself.
Go and check how many players Liverpool have out on loan this season. Go and check how many youth kids that they've got out on loan this season. But you're seeing the one in Conor Bradley or whoever that is in the first team going, yeah, see, look, behind the scenes doing really well. But they sent 10. Yeah, but you're talking of top players. Harry Kane, then. Why don't we pick players like Harry Kane? Went out on loan and now he's top player.
If they were top players, then why weren't they sending them out on loan? If they were top players at 18, why weren't they sending them out on loan?
Hang on,
Harry Kane was out on loan.
Can I come back in quickly? First of all, so sorry about that.
But you thought your house was burning down or something.
Yeah, what was it?
I'll explain to you lot when the show finishes.
Oh
my god!
Did your manager just go?
But I'll
explain later. But
Bergman and Gray are going to learn from playing.
Hang on. But as I was saying before I had to go off there, right? If we look at some of the examples look at Poch's really good team. How many loans did Danny Rose have before he came back and made the first team spot his own? Carl Walker, I remember him being on loan at QPR, Aston Villa, right? Harry Kane had how many loan spells? The problem is all the examples I saw you give there are of the anomalies. Someone like Cole Palmer, not many young players like that come through without going on loan and go, wow. Declan Rice is another example. He did. Bergvall and Gray aren't that. They're not Cole Palmer level, right? They're not at that age. They're not Cole Palmer level. They're not Declan Rice level. Them staying at Spurs and not playing, I'm not saying they are at the moment. They've been playing way more than they should. But what good would it do with them staying at Spurs and not playing? Vuskovic is out on loan, playing week in, week out, getting a solid reputation. He's playing against grown men week in, week out, and he's learning his trade, right? What good is it them just sitting at Spurs? What good is it doing Dane Scarlett being at Tottenham right now?
Yeah, tell you what, mate. The loan system and the way that we use it produces loads of really, really good Premier League players for us. Produces loads of really good players who we sell on for good money, doesn't it? It's actually, you know what? I'm
so naive.
Because
hang on.
That's being the system that works.
Hang on. That's not what I said.
It doesn't though.
Yes,
what we do doesn't work
because the players aren't good enough, right? See, this is the problem. Too many fans think that every young player is going to make it. This is the problem. Every single young player, and this is the argument I have with Lubo every single show, every young player that goes out on loan, right? They have a couple of good games. You look at this, right? You guys must get this as well. Every time Mikey Moore scores a goal for Rangers against Kilmarnock or St Mirren, you get somebody puts a post out going, this boy's generational. Why is he not in the first team at Spurs? And you're like, whoa, can we not wait for them to do this over a number of years? Or can we not wait for them to have a magnificent season? But we've got fans that think they should be in our squad. Where? What right now? What good would it do Mikey Moore being in our squad? What good would it do Alfie Devine, Hall, Dorrington? What good would it do them being in our squad? You know what? They're not good enough, Rain.
No, I think we should have sold them. I think we should have sold them by now. I think we should have got rid of them.
Sure, but that's different to saying that the loan system is broken. It's the same as anything, right? If you're good enough, you will make it. If you are good enough,
I don't think that's right. I fundamentally don't agree with that statement. I think a lot of youngsters will get stunted if they don't get the development, and then they'll reach 22, 23.
But you don't want them to have development. You don't want them to go and play. So how can they develop if they're not playing?
Because you can do well. Okay, so if I've got a young techie guy, right, and he's learning at Google Academy, right, he's not actually working. He's just learning in an academy, right? Should I send him out to some third-rate tech company that produces nothing and is programming?
But if that's his level,
everything in basic. He's not gonna learn.
Yeah, but can't you use that too? Can't you be a two-headed stool? Because I agree with you, but within reason. Because I learned my plumbing and gas off of a geezer that knew he lived plumbing and gas. All he did was plumbing, gas. The moment I then went out on my own, I had no Scooby-Doo because I was stuck with him the whole time, watching him work, going right, asking questions. It's not until you go out there and actually perform, play, work that you learn the trade. I learned my trade when I went out on my own.
If you need any tips and tricks about plumbing, mate, I'm the guy to ask, mate.
Stopping up your heating pressure. No, but it's true though, isn't it? You can learn from the best.
I went into a room that I don't often go into yesterday because the pressure dropped again, and I've been looking at what the cause might be. So I went round and tried to bleed all the radiators to see if there's any wrong. And I was like, wait a minute, why are my socks soaking wet? And realised that there's been a leak in the back room in my house for God knows how long, and the floor's absolutely fucking soaked. So yeah, fuck it.
But for me, in that point of view, you can learn from the best, but unless you're out actually performing on your own and doing what you're meant to be doing, you're never really going to become any good.
Yeah,
no, I don't care.
Hang on, James. But to use Rain's thingy, if you are going out on loan to a third-rate tech company, there's a reason why that's the only company that's going to take you. So, for example, when people are talking about our loan players, like look how Lubo goes on about Donnelly. Donnelly's gone to Stoke, who are a mid-table team. Realistically, they're punching above their weight. They're a mid-table team. Couldn't get in the team. Where's he gone now? Now he's gone down to a team who are fighting relegation, right? Why? If he's that good, why are bigger and better clubs not coming in for these people on loan, right? That top players will go on loan to really good teams. Carl Walker was...
they're not a top player at 18. That's the point.
No, but the players with the best ability, the players that stand out will go into the club that takes them. Why is okay? Hang on. Okay, so Rain. So why at 18 is Vuskovic playing Bundesliga? No, hang on. Why is Vuskovic playing Bundesliga football week in, week out? And why is Jamie Donnelly not getting in at Stoke and has to go down a level to Oxford? Why?
I think now somebody else is using an outlier to demonstrate their point. And what I'm trying to talk about is
not an outlier though. This is what happens.
Which isn't an outlier. Come on.
Players will go, okay, so let me use another one that you'll be more comfortable with. Why has Hull gone on loan to Notts County? Yeah. And not to a top championship team? Why has he gone to League 1 or 2, whatever they're in, and not a top championship team? Why?
I don't really
Right. So because
not
the
really
top
fussed.
championship teams haven't looked at him and gone, he's ready to play for us. Right. So they go to the level where they're going to fit in, don't they?
Don't all players didn't like the likes of Ajayi and I have a couple of the youth players. I think even Donnelly, when they actually got minutes for Tottenham, they say this is a levels above what we were used to. It's faster, it's quicker, it's more thing. They're not going to get that in a training session. They're not going to get that in a training session.
Yeah.
There's no passion to win. Like that, these championship teams, whether we say that they're big, small, not learning, they all want to win. It's all their career. They all want to get promoted. They all want bonuses. They're all X, Y, Z. Don't want to get relegated. So every game means something to someone. Whereas if they're training day to day, yeah, they'll be learning bits and pieces and they'll be watching talent, and no doubt they do learn from that. But for me, you learn when you're put in the fire, and when you're in games that mean stuff. That is for me is when you see the aggression, the tackle,
Agreed.
the pace, the missing that shot that needs to go in, otherwise you lose the game. That is where you learn. Harry Kane went on so many loans that fouled.
You can't learn that intensity in
Harry
training.
Kane come out and said it. He learned so much of foul that he went, right, I ain't failing anymore. I'm going to put my head down and work till I succeeded. So for me, sometimes again, a lot of people think failure is bad. Failure is good because when you make that mistake, you know I ain't going to make that mistake again, and you don't learn that in training.
I'm just going to go back to it, right? You know, what you're saying is the accepted truth, and I'm looking at the accepted truth and saying, of all the academy players that we've had, we've produced one. I'm going to count Skip because we sold him for 20 million, so I'm going to count that as a success because it was actually an academy player that we sold on. You can obviously count Harry Kane as a success, although I'm going to say that was an accident. Harry Winks sold for 10 million. Yeah, okay.
Madueke that plays for Chelsea.
Have Harry Winks. But of
Andrew
all
Townsend.
the academy players that
Madueke.
of all the academy players that we've had, we're getting back about 40 million over what, 15 years?
But that's not what you're saying. That's not what you just said. So
no, my point is that the
goalposts.
No, I'm not at all.
You are, because you said it doesn't matter. Because that's only worth 40 million.
Tell you why I'm not. Right? The accepted truth doesn't actually produce the results. So, and the answer is maybe they're not good enough. Maybe the accepted truth isn't good enough.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. Let me ask
you this question then. All right. Can you give me examples, right? If we're saying this is the case, can you give me examples of players that didn't make it at Tottenham then, that went on elsewhere, became really good top Premier League football players that we didn't give a chance to?
Yeah, I know that's your argument, mate. I know that's your argument. But my argument.
Hang on. I can think of one off the top of my head, which is Noni Madueke, right? Possibly you could say Romain Mundle because he's playing in the Premier League for Sunderland right now. But how many players, I keep hearing this, that we don't give them a chance and we don't make, okay, how many have left Spurs at that age that we didn't give a chance to and have gone on and we look back and go, bloody hell, we've made a real ricket there? Who?
The problem with your argument is...
It don't answer the question, though.
No. The problem with your argument is that you and I have a fundamental difference in how we see players. You're saying if an 18-year-old is good enough, he will develop into a player. And I'm saying age 18, between 18 and 21, I don't think we develop them right. So actually, in my world, in your world, they don't go on to become good players because they were never going to be a good player. Because that's what they were. In my world, between 18 and 21, we don't develop them right, and that's why they don't go on and become.
But you said
sure, but that's going on the proviso that everyone between the age of 18 and 21 is going to develop. The problem is when you actually go down, when you actually go down into youth football, right? By 18, most of the time, you kind of know. By 18, you kind of know. There's exceptions to the rules. There are late bloomers, but you kind of know. The problem is too many fans see, this is my problem with your way of thinking, right? and again, just opinion, is that we think that between 18 and 21, they magically get coached and become amazing. For me, most of the players, if you're good enough, they will shine through. That's why I asked the question, how many of them have left at the age of 17 or 18 that we didn't give a chance to? They've gone elsewhere and shined and developed. I can't think of hardly any.
I think there's a good chance, and I'm not saying that it's true or not. What I'm saying is that the accepted truth now doesn't produce the players. We can both agree with that. Your argument is they were never going to be that player because they just weren't good enough.
No, that's not my argument. That's not my argument. You're not. I'm saying if they're not going to get the chance at Spurs, look how many young players we don't give a chance to at Spurs, but they leave this club at 17, 18, 19. They go elsewhere. Let's use Semenyo and Eze as perfect examples of players that didn't break through at Premier League clubs at the age of 18, 19, whatever, but have gone away, lower leagues,
Madison.
worked their way up, and are now stars of the league, right? I'm asking, when has that happened?
Lubo's just texted me saying, tell Savva Graham Souness.
But there are things. It's very easy for you to sort of pick out players and say that's not working. That's not working. If they stay around the training ground, that they'll become better. Well, hasn't Brandon Austin been at our training ground for like the last 10 years and he's still crap? What about the keeper before that that's now works in TV or film? He's ran out training for the whole ground and now he's crap. What about the half-caste striker that we let go? He didn't even get in a scholarship. We let him go and no one signed him. What about the guy that signed for the blonde kid that was at our training the whole time and now signed for like Stevenage? Like you can give out your one or two options where that's it, yeah, where they don't succeed. But these guys have been at our club the whole time with our training the whole time. And let's face it, they had before people go, well, but who's he learnt off? He's had Hugo Lloris at the club. But if you can't learn off somebody like that, I'm sorry.
Of the youth right now, not the youth that we've bought. So Gray, Bergval, Sar's not young.
Vuskovic
they've been bought. Of the youngsters that we didn't buy, who of the players you've seen that are out on loan or at the football club do you look at and go, oh yeah, I can really see something in you. You're going to be a really good player. Because I don't see, I mean, I hear the hype for more, but when I watch more, I see a couple of nice goals, but all-round game, I don't think there's nothing. Is
it Barnett? Williams Barnett looks like a tidy player.
Right. But do you get my point? Ajayi.
Yeah.
People wanted him in our first team. Ajayi couldn't get a game at Doncaster. Right? Donnelly couldn't get a game at Stoke. Now, what we do is we blame those clubs. Oh, they're not being treated properly. If you're that good, you're going in. If you're that good, you're going in. Right? It can't always be blamed on something other than maybe they're not good enough. Maybe. Luca Williams-Barnett looks very good, like he does. But I'm very conscious that he is 17 years of age. And if you add up all of our ages on this show, we could go through for the last 30 years how many youth players that this fan base, not just our fan base, other fan bases do it, that we've all been told and we've all convinced ourselves are the next player. Whether it was Troy Parrott, whether it was Dean Parrott, whether it was John Bostock, whether it was Carl Walker-Peters, Andros Townsend,
Marcus Edwards,
Tommy Carroll, Marcus Edwards, Jake Livermore, Ryan Mason, like Nabil Bentaleb, blah, 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 blah. And every year I get the argument from someone like Rain who goes, these play. None of them.
I'm not saying that.
None of them have done anything.
Don't put words in my mouth, mate. I'm categorically not saying that. What I'm saying is, I personally have seen no evidence that the loan system actually develops players in the way that everybody says it does. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let me ask you a question then.
You're just coming at it from a different perspective. You're saying they are going out on loan, but they were never going to be good enough. And do you know what? Both might be true. Both might be.
You mean no evidence from Spurs or in general?
Well, we don't produce.
No, that's not what
okay, so who stayed at our club the whole time? Who stayed at our club the whole time and made it? Who stayed at our club the whole time and made it? Like you're asking for.
Well, yeah, we don't produce. We don't produce. players.
You just said you don't believe in the loan system. You'd like them to stay at our club. So who has that worked with?
Well, we don't do it. We don't do it. Man City.
But we let go of hundreds of thousands
Man
of
City
skilled
got
kids
better youth
every year.
players than us.
Well, then maybe that's the answer. Maybe the answer is but then James is saying, oh, but players want to go out. Young players want to go out and play. But at Man City, they don't. At Man City,
Yes, they do.
stay in the academy and they get built up and they get developed.
Hang on. When you're saying at Man City, they don't. Man City have one of the best youth teams in the world, right? So when Man City are bringing players through, they are, one, much better than the caliber that we're bringing through, or to date has been the case. And they're bringing them into a team like managed by Pep Guardiola with world-class players around them, right? But the levels are different. Like, look at Foden. They brought Foden through. He didn't need to go on loan. When have Spurs brought through anybody in the youth team that you look at and go, that's like Phil Foden?
I seem to recall a lot of controversy around the fact that Man City weren't sending Foden out on loan. I seem to recall a lot of people saying, and Pep said, no, I'm keeping him here. I want to develop him here. I want to give him 15, 20 minutes rather than sending him out on loan.
But that's Phil Foden. And now Phil Foden's one of the best players in the country. Phil Foden, you could see at the age of 16, was special. This is what I mean by the anomalies. We don't have anyone right now that you're going, oh my God, they were like Declan Rice at 18 or Gerrard at 18.
Vuskovic.
Well, Vuskovic is on loan playing right now. Let's ask the obvious question. And I know Sean and I had this conversation quite a lot in the summer. This is the difference. Vuskovic himself acknowledged, if I stay at Spurs this year, I'm not getting games. He himself, I'm not making this up. He himself said, I want to go and play. I'm not getting games above Van der Ven and Romero.
Yeah, he said he's not good enough.
He said he's not right. So what do you do in that situation then, Rain? Do you keep him and say, right, you're going to get a game every time 2 or 3 centre-halves are injured?
It's interesting, though, isn't it? Like, other players are happy to do it at Arsenal. Mark Gay is considering going to Arsenal right now, even though he's got to get in front of Gabriel Saliba, arguably Hincapié, and 1 or 2 others, right? And yet they're willing to go there and sit on the bench and be a part of something which is meaningful, even if they're only playing 30% of minutes. They're still going to get their league title, or maybe, I hope not, but they think they'll get their league title. Whereas at Tottenham, you've got, but at Tottenham, you've got Radu Dragusin, who's been on the injury table for the last 10 months, comes back for 2 minutes and then says, I want out. And there's even rumours out that he's trying to force a move because he wants to go and play. And I'm like, what the hell are we doing here? When was the last time Tottenham didn't have an injury at some point in the season to a centre-back? If we were to let Radu Dragusin go on loan or permanent to Roma or to wherever else, the second that he goes, you know what's going to happen. Van der Ven or Romero get injured, Danso comes in, and then we have no centre-backs. We have no centre-backs on the bench. We've got Junai Byfield again. So unfortunately, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to take the conversation in a different way, but there are some players that are willing to go and sit on the bench and not play. And there are others that are. Obviously, Vuskovic wasn't willing to do that, right? He wanted to go and learn and develop. And I think we'll hopefully be better off for it in the long run if he comes back next season.
Sure. And
I've got a suspicion that he wants to leave anyway. I don't think he feels a Tottenham player.
And the rumours are that Tell's trying to do the same, right? The rumours are that Tell is trying to force a loan move out so that he can play up front,
This is the difficulty, right, guys? But this is the difficulty. And this is where managing a club is very difficult. We all think it's easy, but managers have to balance players, and they have to balance their squad, like in terms of injuries versus player happiness. If you've got a player coming to you going, I am deeply unhappy, I'm not naming names. I am deeply unhappy. I want to go out on loan. I want to play 90 minutes each week. The manager's going, well, difficult, mate, because I've got, I've got loads of injuries. I need you to be a bit pot player. Player comes back and says, okay, but when those injuries come back, am I starting? Well, no, you're not in front of them. You've got a Mexican standoff, haven't you? And this is the problem. You never used to have this because squads weren't 25. You remember when you had squads of about 14, 15? You didn't have this. Now you've got,
and we exit cups too early.
Right. So I don't know the answer, but like I get it. Radu Dragusin is a good example, Sean, because I get it. He's been out injured, so he wants to come back and he wants to play. But at the same time, what does Spurs do? We've let Takai go.
Well, what I would have done personally, I think there's a perfect example. You've got Danzo and you've got Dragusin. When Romero goes and not to make it about Romero again, but when Romero goes and speaks out against the club, maybe one of the ways that you show that there's actually consequences for your indifference and for your unprofessional behaviour is you stick him on the bench for a couple of games and then you let Dragusin have a crack on the right-hand side and see what he can do. Or put Kevin Danso in and put Dragusin as first sub. Like you drop Romero, because I think that sort of thing, it sends a message to the rest of the players that your place isn't certain. I think the way we go about it at the moment, as I said, I don't think Kevin Danso's done anything. I'm not suggesting that Danzo's as good a player as Romero. By the way, I saw someone make that suggestion. That's what I was saying earlier. I wasn't. I'm just saying Kevin Danso hasn't unimpressed. Kevin Danso is a very solid centre-back for us, always has been. He's made a couple of mistakes here and there. The only time I remember him having a stinker was away against Newcastle in the Cup when he was played on the left-hand side rather than the right-hand side, and I think that threw him out positionally. But generally speaking, I think that you could play Kevin Danso and you could give Dragusin a go. And let's have some rotation, right? Like Arsenal always seem to do it. Arteta does seem to find ways to keep these guys motivated. But at Tottenham, the idea of being on the bench is simply not acceptable.
Yeah, but I think there's a difference, isn't there? I would sit on the bench if I knew I was going to win a Premier League and a Champions League. I wouldn't sit on the bench if I'm looking at relegation.
I mean, that's not guaranteed.
No,
it's not guaranteed. But if you was like Guahi at the moment now, if you sign for him, the likelihood is you're going to win the league. And if you believe you're a top player coming into that, you would naturally help them win that league. So they're more inclined to join a team and win the league if it means sitting on the bench than to join us and sit on the bench when we're going to.
Of course, I totally get that. That people, like people are willing to go and be a part of something that's going to win things if they're only paying 35% for it. I get it, but like I don't know. Like for me, I just think that Tottenham Hotspur should have enough about them to be able to say, look, we've got two talented centre backs, and every single game Romero and Van der Ven starts, and the only time they don't is when there's an injury or a suspension, and the other guy who comes in doesn't really let you down, and then as soon as Romero's fit again, the other guy's put straight back to the bench again. It just sets this tone of like it's not meritocracy. There has to be some concept in the players that are coming up or the players that are in there thinking, when I get my chance, if I take it with both hands, I will be rewarded. And I think under Thomas Frank, that hasn't been the case.
But do you know what, though? Years for Spurs, that hasn't been the case. And I'll tell you why it hasn't, Sean. Again, when managers like Arteta do it, when managers like Pep Guardiola do it, it's because look at the level of players they've got. The problem is at Spurs, again, because we don't build squads properly, the players that are normally coming in for the first team starters are so far removed from the level of ability. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying this is right, but they're so...
Kevin Danso hasn't let himself down, right?
No, mate, I agree. There are times...
Shouldn't he be rewarded whereby he gets a run of games and Romero has to sit on the bench for a minute? Because let's be honest, Romero didn't need to be suspended against Aston Villa, and he didn't even need to be suspended against the game that he initially was against Palace or whoever it was. He got sent off for petulance against Liverpool.
I agree.
He missed 2 games that he didn't need to miss. And the second that he's available again, he's straight back in, and Danso didn't do anything wrong. I think that's poor.
I agree with you on that front, Sean. I agree with you. I said it. When Danso came in for those couple of games that Romero missed, I think we kept 2 clean sheets, if I'm not wrong. And then Romero straight back in. Now, I get it that people love Romero and he's our captain, but I didn't see in those games anything where I went, oh my God, we're really missing Romero. I didn't see that. It wasn't like, but I mean, in general, throughout the squad, the drop off is huge, right? Like in general, we don't have those players to rotate. So people will go to Man City. Man City can this week play Cherki and Semenyo on the wing. Next week, they can play Doku and Silva because those players are happy to rotate. They're in 4 competitions. They know what they're going to win. They know they're going to be competing. They know that it's no one's guaranteed a place unless your name is Haaland, right? But as Spurs, we've never, ever, ever built that. Even in the Poch time, we had the really good 11. All of them knew. Yeah. Dele Alli, Ericsson, Kane, all of them knew. It doesn't matter what stinker they drop. they know the next week, what, you think Sissoko's taking my place? You think Dembele's worried about Sissoko? Say, nah, I'm not worried. You think Carl Walker's looking at Carl Norton going, I might be dropped. And that's the problem. That's why for me,
Aston Villa have thought something, haven't they?
And bringing it back to Conor Gallagher, right? A lot of our fan base are like, you know, a lot of our fan base are thinking first 11, right? Now, we're quite clear that he goes straight into the first 11 in central midfield. But a lot of our fan base are just so obsessed with first 11 rather than we need to actually build a full and effective squad. We need a squad of players at our club, and yeah, and that's what we haven't done for so long, and hopefully us starting to layer on players like in the summer, Xavi and Kudus, okay, a couple of loans. Hopefully, we turn Paulinho into a perm. Building in Conor Gallagher. We need to buy quality that layers on top and builds a full and effective squad with multiple options in all positions.
I was wondering what that snoring was. I was looking at something else.
If you've ever owned a pug, you'll know what the snoring is like.
It's not just the likes of Arsenal though that have built a squad that's got depth. Like I was about to say, Aston Villa, right? You've got Tielemans that sits on the bench and is arguably one of the best midfielders in the league this season. You know, and they've got players that are happy to rotate. And they were going to go and bring in Conor Gallagher if they could have afforded it, and he wasn't going to start every game, and he probably would have chosen Villa over Tottenham had all other things being equal, right? It's a more exciting project at this stage in the zeitgeist. So, like for me, I just think that it's not impossible for Tottenham to be able to build a squad of players that are willing to participate, as long as there is an ecosystem whereby you think that you're rewarded when you play well, and that if you drop the ball, there's a consequence for your poor performances that somebody else will come in. At Tottenham at the moment, I don't think there's any of that. I think that if Kudus plays a stinker, I know he's injured now, but when he was there, and when Brennan Johnson was there, by the way, if Kudus played a stinker, next week Kudus plays, Johnson sits on the bench. Up front, Richarlison, he's had 4 years of absolute dross. Now he's had a bit of form finally after 4 years, and a lot of that comes down to the ridiculous amount of crosses that we feed him. I've seen those stats. The number 1 and number 2 crosses, the crosses in the Premier League are all feeding Richarlison, and he suddenly got on his high horse thinking that he's better than the club. Outrageous. But if you put in a stinker, there's no damage. Matthias Tell's only got into the team now because of injuries, not because of Richarlison or Kolo Muani or whatever else having stinkers in the past few games. Matthias Tell deserved more of a chance than he's been given. I think Brennan Johnson at times deserved more of a chance than he's been given. I think that Xavi Simons was probably punished a few times, but like I don't think that there's been too much in the way of consequences for poor performance. And I think that is a problem. I think that seems to be a starting 11 and then other people get a go here and there. And I think that needs to change. Obviously, it starts with upping the level, but I don't think there's that much of a difference in the quality that's been on display this year between a lot of players. I think that the Tottenham used to have a squad a few years ago that had a couple of like A-star players, a first 11 that was like maybe B-, and then a really poor like F grade depth. And then all of a sudden we've gotten to like a C+. Just everyone is C+. There's no superstars, and the quality, the gap between the players that are playing and the players that are on the bench. I don't think there's a massive difference between the likes of Bentancur and Bergvall. I don't think there's a huge difference between Spence and Udogie. I don't think there's been a huge difference between Romero and Danso. I don't think there's a huge difference between the performances that I've seen over the whole season so far from Xavi Simons versus what I saw at the start from Pape Sarr. I don't think there's been anybody that stood out, and I really don't think there's that much of a gap in quality in times from a lot of the players that are there. So I think on that basis, until you have absolute difference in quality, I don't think there should be this status position where everyone just gets their place regardless of their performance and regardless of their behaviour. I think it doesn't set the right tone. I think it's partly the reason why players like Radu Dragusin probably want to go. Because they think it doesn't matter what I do, if I ever get a chance, the second that guy's fit again, I'm out of the team.
You are talking about Romero as captain, though. and that does add a little bit. I'm not disagreeing with you about how
But he also spoke about Tell and Xavi, so it wasn't just Romero. He gave
yeah, but I think
there's lots of players in that on that squad. That Odebear, right? Odebear, I think, has been just as good as Mawani, if not better. But yet Mawani's been getting the minutes ahead of him. I think that Matthias Tell in the last couple of games has put in good shifts and has been better than most players on the pitch in a Tottenham shirt. You know, obviously it's still not of the levels that we want, but I'm just saying, like, when you look at Matthias Tell in the 5 minutes he's had here, the 3 minutes he's had there, he's tried really hard. He scored the winner against Leeds. He scored a goal he scored a goal against Manchester United. He wasn't rewarded for any of that. I think that there is a problem with meritocracy at the football club.
I think this goes down to, though, right, that if the manager isn't sold on a player, he's not going to play. And I think that fits with a lot of football clubs, right? It's just the way it is. I'm not saying it's right, but look, this all comes down to, and I'm going to wrap up the show in a minute, guys, but I think it all comes down to it. You know, it's squad building again, it's squad planning. And that's why if I bring this full circle back to Conor Gallagher, that's why I'm so bemused by people getting frustrated with it, because this is what we want. We want to build a squad, right? I want Gallagher in, Paulinho, then bring in a Garcia, then in the window, go and get rid of Basuma and Bentancur and Sarr, bring in another one. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's what we want, right? We want to evolve. We want to bring players in that are all in and around that level or better than what we've got. But hey, look, we'll see. We'll see what happens. I think at the moment, Tell will stay because we don't have many options. I think if we had the other options, you'd probably see him on loan at the moment. But hey, I don't know. We'll see, guys. I'm going to do some super chats and then we'll wrap up and we'll see what transfer rumors there are tomorrow and whatnot. Big up to James Watts, who said, "Would you take Karim Adeyemi?" Yes, I think the consensus was that we would all take Karim Adeyemi. I think that was the general consensus. James loves him, so he definitely would. I would. Sean nodded there, and I think Rain would take him as well.
Yeah, but the second that he comes in and his shoelace is untied, I'm coming after Flower 100%.
Yeah.
My hat-trick on his first day. Sean, quick YouTube.
Big up to you, James. Thank you very much for that. Big up to Dean Law, always with the super stickers. Thank you so much, Dean. Really appreciate you, buddy. That's very, very generous as always. Big up to Moose. I've not seen you for ages. How you doing out there in America? Said Gallagher is a great signing. Completely agree with you. Perfect for building a squad. Perfect player to have in your squad. And I think sooner rather than later, our fans will come, the ones that haven't will come around to that way of thinking when they see just what he offers on the pitch. Big up to you, Moose. And you've come in again, very generous, massive donation there. Said, if it's me, Xavi, Kudus, Gallagher, Paulinho are starters. They're Yao playing defence and Gallagher box to box, feeding Kudus and Xavi, especially Xavi. He will be unlocked. Not to mention Kulu Matters are coming back. Exactly. Now you add a proper left winger to that. Now you add a top striker to that in the summer. All of a sudden, it looks a little bit rosier in the Spurs garden, right? So it's amazing what a few signings can do. Big up to you, Moose. Really appreciate you, my man. Big up to user Whole Spurs, who says Vicario, Davis, Romero, Van der Ven and Porro, Gallagher, Simmons, Paulinho, Tell, Solanke, Odeberg versus West Ham. I don't think it will be far off that, mate. If I'm brutally honest, I don't think it will be far off that. I don't think we've got many options, have we?
How late can they be registered to play on Saturday? Like, when's the cut off?
Like Thursday afternoon or something, isn't it? I don't know.
Okay.
He should be all right. He should be all right. Surely Spurs can get this wrapped up in time.
I mean, a big question for us is how fit is Solanke going to be? How quickly is he going to get fit? And we need him. We need him fit ASAP.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, listen, a big chance for Solanke now. I'm not his biggest fan, but really hope he comes in and scores goals. Just because I'm not the biggest fan of someone doesn't mean I don't want them to do well. Big up to Eamon, very generous, says, I don't like what Romero did, but it was a cowardly thing to do when he changed it to make his life easier. Well, again, this goes to the whole thing. If he really meant what he said and all these people in the chat saying he did the right thing, why did he change it? So we'll look, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's happened. I don't really care. I want to talk football, not politics. Big up to you, my man. Thank you. Big up to THFC till we die. How you doing? I think this is probably Dermot, is it? So big up Savva, Sean, Rain, and Flower. Big up to Flower, the #1 Randall Colomoni fan in the country. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Big up to Craig, who said 3-5-2 with Simmons in the false 9 with PP and BD bombing on with Pedro Porro and BD, Ben Davis. God, Ben Davis and bombing on in the same sentence. I love that. That's brave.
Ben Davis might be out of it, you know. I think he might be
Well,
going next.
Well, I think he's actually been quite good the last 2 games.
Yeah, breath of fresh air, mate. Yeah, left footer on the left side. Magic can happen. Not rocket science.
Big up. Is this Dermot who's become a YouTube member? Thank you very much. That's very generous. Thank you. Didn't have to do that. Thank you very much. The old Dermatron. Please get over to THFC Till We Die and subscribe and like and all the good stuff. Big up to you. Anna's £5 super sticker. Have I done something good to you this week? You're being very kind tonight, Dermot. What's happening? Thank you very much, my man.
Had a couple of Irish whiskies and he's got his trigger happy on his.
Big up to you, mate. Really appreciate that. Big up to Tot Spurs, who's become a member. Big up to you. I must do a members only show this week. I will. It'll be Thursday or Friday. I definitely will. Big up to you. You're more than welcome to join that. And last but not least, Tot Spurs 63 comes in and says October the 18th, 1975. My first game at White Hart Lane. For me, the next transfer windows will tell me about the real ambition of the club I love. Amen. This season could well be my last as a paying customer. I don't think that I am alone. Well, Totspur, as I said, this window, thank you very much. I'm going to remove this just so that I can see everyone and talk. Thank you very much. It's much appreciated. Listen, as I said, I was having a chat with Perchy today. We said, if this window, they bring in Gallagher, you get an Akliouche and a Garcia, now they've bought me, they've bought my interest. Do you know what I mean? Now they've bought my interest that, okay, we've acted. Okay, we've had a really strong January window. My interest peaks. But the key thing is, and I think we all agree on this, that then needs to carry on into the summer where we pick up and go, right, what's the next 3 or 4 coming in that are very good footballers to Tottenham? So they've got a lot to prove.
Do you think they're signing players now with one eye on the protest? Do you think that they've kind of elevated things and sped things up because they think, right, well, if we sign a Gallagher, a left winger, and looking at wingers to kind of bid in or whatever we're doing, do you think that kind of goes, well, we're protesting against a board that are about to sign Gallagher, top winger, and a left back? Because that's what they'll come out to the media and say, well, hold on, we've signed a left back, we've signed a midfielder, we're trying to buy a left winger. It kind of deflates,
isn't it? Because we're in the transfer window, so they could turn around and just go, well, hang on, we were buying players anyway. So it's a difficult one. But listen, again, as I said in the summer, this for me, they've got to show this over a number of windows. This can't be that we see an uplift and then we get to the next window and we go, what the F was that? We need to see this every window.
Agreed.
You know, I think we can say we want to see.
So far, they've spent nothing, right? Johnson out. Fair. Gallagher in, we're where we were. So for me, show the money. But listen, guys, I do need to wrap up. Is anyone live? Does anyone know that we can transfer to? Anyone know? Hang on, 1 second. Oh, hang on.
When last word of Spurs are on, I think Johnny went on last word of Spurs. You were saying.
Oh, I don't know what's happening here.
Look, I think what we're all saying is we want to see more Conor Gallaghers coming into this club and less of the profile of Conor Gallagher, you know, ready to play in the first team. And whatever you think of him, less Archie Gray at 18. That's
less Kolo Muani's.
Let's Kolo Muani.
What have I said that's negative? I'm the one that's praising the Conor Gallagher sign. I am going to send you over to Tottenham diehards. By the way, last word on Spurs, I cannot send over to them because they haven't opened up to allow me to. You know what I'm talking about, Sean? So they've got to allow you to redirect.
Permissions.
Yeah, they haven't given me permission to do so. So I have sent you over to Tottenham diehards. Get over there, show some love, support all the channels. Please get over to Sean. Subscribe to Sean as well. Not that he needs it. He's on like nearly 150,000 now or something, isn't he? The old transfer guru. Guys, girls, much love. Yeah, and as always, come on, you Spurs. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, Rain. Thanks, Mr. Flower. And take care. Good night. And as always, come on, you Spurs. Bye.